Do you give your recipes out?
Some of them. Actually, you know what? When people ask me, I give them out. It's just a matter of whether or not I have time. But when I have time, because usually what I do, so to be honest, so we'll
You don't make
working.
it every week, you know?
Huh?
Like the meatloaf, you make it every once a month or something.
Yep.
So.
So I make them kind of like, well, I'm probably making things more now.
Oh, that's true.
I told you.
Yeah.
So I think I had a yogurt go bad in here, Becky, and I was like, this is not bad. But
All right, we're gonna do the Maco.
back to the recipes.
Lisa, there's a chair. You can just move the
No,
paper.
that's okay.
So usually what I do, so here's like, people always are messaging me and saying, how do I make this recipe healthy? If you punch in beef stew healthy, you're gonna get 95 options. And what we'll talk about today, how do you know whether or not it's actually healthy, and what does healthy mean for you?
Right.
Because some people, they're like, well, high fat's totally okay. Other people, like, I don't want really high fat. So if I'm making beef stew, I'm gonna find top round steak, I'm gonna use that instead of stew meat. So it's just finding the ways. If they call for flour, I'm gonna use oat flour instead of whole wheat flour. Like things like that. So it's just looking at a recipe. So that's where the knowledge base comes in, is looking at a recipe and saying, this is healthier than the original, but now how do I take it next level for what I wanna do? And so that's what we'll talk about today. Okay.
Hello.
Worked out. We're live. Oh, so I'm wearing it like, okay. I am so hot and sweaty right now.
Did you miss
Sorry.
Did you miss me?
Okay.
Ooh, that's serious. It's really tough.
Too loud?
Yeah. I don't even like myself right now. Hello. It's all the way to the, oh, there you go. Yeah, that's good. Is this good? Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so I gave everyone handouts. If anyone doesn't have it, they're right there. I did print up the last sheet today that's on top because I wanted everyone, I saw it this morning and I was like, wow, that's in alignment with exactly what we're doing. So basically when I do these classes, I know some of you have been here before and some of you haven't. I feel as though every time you do it, it's going to be a different experience based on other people's experiences around you. And all of us, I think a lot of what I find more and more all the time is that all of us are struggling with something, and more often than not, I have to move this a little bit, it makes me feel funny. More often than not, that something that we're struggling with is something someone else is scared to talk about. So that's I think that's why the experience is always different. So I am going to, and this takes a little bit of time, but I think it's very important for us to do, and if you're not comfortable doing it, that's really fine, but I think it's a good thing. I do want us to go around the room and say our name and kind of say why it is that you're here today. Like, what is it that you're hoping, why was this so important that you took time out of your Saturday to be here? And I think that that's important to acknowledge for yourself so that you can kind of think about it. So do you mind if I start, and some of you I don't know, so I'd like to know your names too.
My name's Laura. I'm a new member.
Yeah.
And I've been doing like the virtual exercise classes
Yeah.
mostly because it's hard for me to physically get here. But so I guess I wanted help. Like, I mean, I love the recommendation for the substitutions and things like that. Because I like healthy food. I like need to get more organized with it and kind of make it more like a natural
Plan.
thing to grab the, like, just part of what everybody's eating, like get the
Right.
flour instead of the wheat or whatever it
Yep.
is I'm gonna pick, to kind of make it more our like normal way everybody eats
Yep.
in the house. And the planning part, because I'm just disorganized and I don't have a lot of time and all the things that probably everybody.
So the disorganized thing, so one thing that's a huge change is changing that wording for yourself.
Okay.
And change it to, I'm learning to be more organized. Because otherwise you're telling yourself something that's negative, so reframe it and say, I'm here because I'm learning to be more organized. So start doing that for you, because you're already taking that step.
Yeah.
So as opposed, and I do it all the time, and we just
Yeah.
have to stop ourselves and say, nope, that's not who I am anymore because I'm choosing a different way, so now I'm trying to do this. Or I am doing this.
Right.
So now you're beginning to learn how to plan, so you're becoming more organized.
So I'm starting to be more organized.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect, and that's exactly what it is. And to just let you know, that's everyone's number one challenge is the planning. And there's people here I know, if you don't mind me saying, I mean, like most, like that is the biggest thing. And it's the biggest thing for me. If I don't have food on hand, I'm stopping at the convenience store and that's what's happening. So it's just, the organization is huge. But you'll get there.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I'm here because I think I'm pretty organized and I do meal prep every Sunday, which is good. But it's times like now around the holidays when I go to like people's homes and I'm like, what do I eat there? Do I bring my own food? So I actually had some people over last night and I changed sour cream to Greek yogurt and nobody even knew the
Yeah,
difference. So
right.
I was like, yes.
They don't even know.
But it's those little things that, you know, it's so simple, cause they're in the store, they're right near each other, and you can pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And, I found that by taking Naomi's classes, that I'm spending more time at the grocery store and reading labels.
Yeah.
So, and I wanna know what are the substitutes, so that I can fill a lot of those in.
Are there certain substitutes that, like, specific ones that you're looking for?
Well, I'm a big chocolate, I'm a big sweets person.
Yeah.
So I wanna know those, like I see the cocoa over there, I never even thought of Hershey's cocoa.
Do you want me to talk about cocoa? So I'll talk, and with each of you, I'm probably gonna stop and you're gonna throw stuff at me to get me to stop talking, but, so you know how they say chocolate is good for you? This is what's good for you. I have so many people that are like, well, I had a Snickers that I had to get my chocolate in. This is what's good for you, is dark cocoa, and I will say especially for every one of us in here, because for women, it aids in hormonal balance. So as we're going to perimenopause, as we're like just aging, our hormones are changing, this is what helps with that. If you put 2 tablespoons of this in a shake every day, and I think there's a shake recipe on there, but I put 2 tablespoons in, so 2 tablespoons of this is 6 carbohydrates, 4 grams of fiber, and 20 calories. This is the chocolate you wanna be eating. And put this in a shake, and it actually, if you make your shake nice and thick with some unsweetened almond milk, a scoop of protein powder, some berries, now you're getting natural sugars in there. So you have the berries, that's gonna thicken it up, you're getting natural sugars in there, and you're eating it with a spoon, and it quenches the chocolate craving. So this is the kind of chocolate that's good for you. And if you want, like sometimes I want something like a little bit more, I'll throw in some of the Believe chocolate chips.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'll throw in like 10 of them into that shake, and then you have that little crunch, and it's satisfying. So those things, I don't know if everyone's heard of these.
I heard you
Yes,
talk
you told
about,
us.
somebody was talking
Yeah.
about them, where do you get those?
Walmart is the
Walmart,
only place I
okay.
can find them.
Okay.
And they're on the top shelf, so they're Believe chocolate chips. So the big thing, so this will bring us into something else, and I promise I'll keep going. But the big thing with chocolate chips, and especially sugar-free, is most of them, like Hershey's, is sweetened with Splenda. And if anyone here is eating Splenda now, or doing, like, I do it in small doses in some of my condiments, but Splenda is processed with formaldehyde. So you want to, and it's also a derivative of sugar. So even though it's sugar-free, it still spikes your insulin levels and causes you to store fat. Plus it's processed, so you see a lot of people that are diabetic, especially if you know anyone who's diabetic, because it's a derivative of sugar, it actually causes you to store weight here because your body can't process it, so it stays in your system. Which is why it doesn't allow, why it causes the gastrointestinal problems.
Is that the
So-
same as Sweet and Low? Splenda and Sweet and Low? Okay.
Well, sweet and low is a different thing, but it has the same, if you're gonna go for something, so stevia is the way to go. Stevia, monk fruit, erythritol, so what I will say, monk fruit and erythritol do have calories, and carbohydrates. Stevia is much less. A lot of people, what I tell people to do is like, don't go all in if you don't necessarily like the flavor and you're changing. If you're doing 2 tablespoons or 2 teaspoons of sugar, do 1 teaspoon and add some stevia. And slowly dwindle yourself down, because usually when we go all in, we don't stick with it. It's the same with like whole wheat pasta with families. If we're going from hamburger to 99% lean turkey burger, they're going to probably kick us out. But if you do half and half, people don't really notice, and eventually you just wean more and more the other way.
You know, what's nice about that too is, I was a big sweet and low girl, like I'd have 5, I think.
Mhm.
It was horrible. So I put that in my pocketbook.
Yeah,
Mm,
I
yeah.
take this
And there's
everywhere.
one that's called that plus vanilla,
Yep,
so.
yep.
can add
You
that.
take this stuff everywhere. I'm gonna have this in my cup, like I take it everywhere. But
that
it's they're like,
liquid?
what?
The
Yeah.
liquid stevia.
This is stevia,
It's
liquid
liquid.
stevia, and it's Walmart brand. You can buy the other one, I'm just not gonna spend $15 on a jar, to be honest, I'll just put it right out there, and this is still natural, so I'm fine with that. And this lasts forever, it's like the littlest squirt. So, yes, that's the thing on, so back to the chocolate chips, that's why I buy these, so these are sweetened with stevia, not Splenda.
there's many, varieties of that. Do you just say the dark chocolate is the only one we should get?
No.
Anyone?
I mean, if you're replacing something, so if that's all you want, that's fine. But if it's, like, I'm not eating chocolate chips every day, but if I'm replacing like real I make little steps, and if I eventually wanna make my way to dark chocolate, then that's great. But it's already better, and that's okay, so it's not like a daily thing. But no, they have a dark chocolate, they have this one, they have a semi-sweet, they're all really good. There's less calories in them and there's more fiber too. So it's just a win-win.
What's the brand name?
Believe. No, and I buy all mine at Walmart every week, so you guys better.
What day do you go?
What day
What
do
day
you
do you
go?
go? Do I go the day
I go
before?
on Tuesday, no, I'm gonna get back to you. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I'm Robin, and, I do that cocoa a lot in my shakes.
Yeah.
So, but it's delicious.
It is
But,
delicious.
yeah. So I'm here for planning and kind of like, I, in general, been a fairly healthy eater for a long time, but the last couple of years I've kind of got off track, cause I have guardianship on my toddlers, grandchildren now, so I can't, the planning's terrible for me, cause I can't take like a Sunday afternoon and
Yeah.
like make all my meals.
Well, your priorities are different now.
So,
So is it basically that you have to find, I think that sometimes we get lost in the idea that it has to look a certain way too, as opposed to looking at things, and I'm personally, because of my life as well, I'm all about what's the fastest, quickest, easiest thing I can do. I had times in my life where I spent 3 or 4 hours prepping. That's
Yeah.
not what I can do now, it's not even an option. So we will talk a lot today about basically, okay, so when I'm putting my day together, I know that I'm gonna be here, what can I have in my car at all times, so that if I need something and life takes over, I have something to eat.
yeah, that would be.
Yeah, exactly, and then also every time I think about it, like, okay, if I'm gonna eat 4 times a day, I just need to know that I have some form of protein for 4 times a day. So, and I think that's the biggest thing is, and how can it be easy?
I fall apart at dinner. Like I plan mine, cause not in the summer as much, but when I work during the school year, I plan my breakfast and my lunch like the night before. It's all set, it's ready in the fridge. And then I get home and I like fall apart at dinner.
Or do you find that you're overly hungry and you're just like scrambling to get something, or like you're just like, oh my god, I need to eat, and so you'll overeat, or do you find that you're just like don't know what the hell to do to put it together?
Occasionally it's I'm hungry and I'm scrambling, but usually it's I don't know what to put together. And
Okay.
sometimes I'm not even hungry at dinner time, so.
Okay.
Which is a issue with me, cause I don't get all my proteins and calories in.
Right,
first.
so basically looking at things like what, even when I'm not hungry, can I
Yeah.
just eat just something quick and easy?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
My name is Amy. I'm here to learn anything and everything I can about. I know nothing. I mean, I know.
That's a great starting point.
I
No, it really is.
I virtually know nothing about anything like this.
Do you know, and I ask this in seriousness, cause sometimes people don't, do you know what the difference is between the macronutrients in our body?
I've read about it, the number of, it's not sticking.
Yeah.
With me, it's just, I mean, I look at all of these foods that you have up here, and yeah, I know about them, I don't know how to put them together.
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's best for me.
Yeah, and for your energy level,
Yeah.
for your routine, exactly, and that's kind of what I try and separate them out, like I try and put like predominant proteins over here, predominant carbohydrates here, or substitutes for them, and fats over here, and then condiments, because they also, this is a macronutrient, this is one, and this is one, and then looking and saying, okay, so when I'm looking for a meal, what do I put with what?
Right.
So yeah, that's exactly what we'll talk about, perfect. Okay, Kathy.
I'm here because, I had, thank you, such great success with the Evolve
Evolve,
program. It just changed my life and, changed how I eat, and I'm much more aware of what I'm doing, and, again, how to put them together best is something I struggle with, but I wanna learn more about.
Right, good, especially, I mean, everyone here is working out. So that's the biggest thing, it's like, how do I best support, if I'm in here kicking my own ass, how do I best support that? So that's huge.
Hi, I'm Carol. I did was telling somebody that I did start watching, because there's one on the member website, the video maybe that you did last January.
Yeah, okay.
So I started watching that, and I got some really good information, and I just never finished, and then I heard you were gonna do this class, so I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll get it. And then I was on the call a couple weeks ago
Yes.
on Monday, and I learned some good things, like, we were talking about, like, when all you can do is go to the gas station, what do you get? You were talking about, like, beef jerky and things like that, and that's what I do, and I'm like, ooh, am I supposed to eat that? Like, what's it, you know?
Right.
So finding those little tricks, and then also some of the meals that you make, there's, you know, I'm not a great cook, so I don't know that I wanna, that's why I have you make it, but. But like some of the things, like, you know, this week you did the gingerbread with the, you know, it had like a frosting, like, how did you make that? How did you make that thing
So you want me
healthy?
to tell you?
I do want you to.
Okay, we'll tell you. So like when you asked me about sharing recipes, I think that's like the best thing. I want, whether someone's buying something from me or not, I want everyone to succeed with this. And the whole way that I should preface, I should introduce myself, I wasn't very good at that. I do this because I have struggled with this my whole life as well. I was much heavier before, and I was very unhappy, and I was sad, and I didn't like even leaving my house, like I was sad. And so it's not easy for me. It's become easier at this point because it was less of a I have to be this way to be worthy, to I want to feel this way to enjoy my life. And that was a huge shift for me, and that's only happened over the last couple of years. But I don't ever want other people to feel that lost and alone, and so that's why I do this. So a promise I made to myself years ago was, if I want something, I'm not going to deprive myself of it, but I have to make it. If I want cookies and I want to make it, for one, I'm going to make them healthier. I can eat a dozen if I want. And for two, because that was where I was. And for two, like, I'm not going to, like, that's the change I have to make. I have to promise myself that and stick to it. So I didn't take something away, I just modified the way that I did it. So I started finding, and I do this years ago. So that right there, so I take a recipe. So like if you go on a website, if I take a recipe, I see that it's a cream cheese frosting. I basically take whatever they have and I modify a little bit. So they call for cream cheese. I use the Greek yogurt cream cheese.
Okay, that's
They
what I was
call
thinking.
for Greek yogurt. And anything that calls for cream cheese, I throw a little bit of fat-free Greek yogurt in there.
Okay.
That's what makes it a little bit thinner. It's not as thick, but I'm still getting the flavor and some more protein and some less fat and calories.
And then did you sweeten that with stevia?
I scoop in, so I use Swerve confectioner sugar.
Yep, I have
So I
Swerve.
use that, and I put in a little bit of vanilla extract, and I put in a scoop of vanilla protein powder. So now you have both. So something like a cake, it's very hard without compromising the flavor of the cake to use protein powder. So I put it in some of the things that I can't have a frosting, but if I have a frosting, I try and get as much bang for my buck in that frosting. So that's where I add in the protein powder into that frosting.
Okay.
Because the cake, I can only get so much in without making it really dry.
Chalky or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, well I have a higher carbohydrate here, but I'm gonna get what I can here.
Yeah.
So then they're balancing the two out. So when we're talking about macros, that's really what you wanna start looking at with each meal. Where's my protein? Very first question, where's my protein coming from in this meal? And the reason being for that is not all about no carbohydrates. I love carbohydrates. I think we need them for energy, for brain function, everything. But protein is the foundation building block of our muscle. And also it's more satiating and it costs our body more calories to burn it. So when you get that in there first, that's your number one priority. And then, where's my carbohydrate or my fat? So it's not one of the, and carbohydrates and protein are the best two things to put together. Those two like love each other. That's gonna speed up your metabolism like nothing else. So if we're looking at a gingerbread cake, when I'm looking at a recipe, I'm saying, is this going to be protein and fat dominant, or is this gonna be protein and carbohydrate dominant? One or the other, not both.
That's how I look at every meal too.
Yep, which is good. And the only challenge with fats, like I'm not a no fat person, but you do wanna be aware of them because they have more than double the amount of calories than a protein or carbohydrate. And I'm not about like, ooh, count all the calories, but they do count. Calories in versus calories out. So that's what you wanna look at. But with that, I'm like, okay, well the cake is the carbohydrate, there's a little bit of fat in there, and then the frosting is the little bit of fat and the high protein.
Yep.
So now it's a balanced meal, which is why I try and make every dessert a balanced meal.
Right.
Like you can eat this instead of an actual meal if you need to. So,
Right.
because who doesn't want cake for lunch?
And so when I started, and I just kind of took on the member side, I took some of those recipes, and I started there, and I just, I've done almost all of them,
Mhm.
and then it was like, so now I'm, you know, I've been in a place like, well, how do I expand? So, you know, just what everyone else said, how do you just know, like, what to substitute? So I'm getting better all the time, so I just wanted some more.
So another good one that I will say, because that's a good point, because it took me a couple years to figure this stuff out. So taking, like, if something like, let's say you're doing like a beef stroganoff, usually it calls for heavy cream.
Yeah.
That's where I use a little bit of fat-free, a little bit of the Greek yogurt, cream cheese, and then I use fat-free plain Greek yogurt, unsweetened almond milk.
Okay.
So, but you have to add it, so I will say this is what I learned. You have to add it after, like, towards the end, because otherwise it curdles.
Okay.
So don't add it like when it says it to, add it towards the end of it.
All
Because
of those,
otherwise-
all of those things.
just
that
the
you
Greek
said-
yogurt.
Just the Greek
Just the
yogurt.
Greek yogurt.
Okay.
The Greek yogurt has to be added towards the end when it's really hot, so then it's gonna mix right in. And it's not that it doesn't taste good, it just doesn't look as pretty. And it seems questionable.
Not as appetizing. looking.
Yeah, exactly, like I'm not, if I'm eating at home, I don't really care, but I mean, if you're presenting it to your family, they might not be on board.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Lynn.
Quick question,
Yes.
there's a Greek yogurt cream cheese?
I was just thinking of that.
I don't have it here
Oh,
either.
good question,
So
Lynn.
I do know that I've only found it at Market Basket. I don't shop a lot of other places. It's
Heard of it.
what's the name of it? It's not Bajay. I'll look it up and I'll post the picture of it. But it's up with all the other cream cheeses, and it's like a blue and gray thing, but it says Greek yogurt right on it.
And it tastes good.
It tastes fantastic. Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, everyone that I've switched over to it, they don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one more thing before I say anything about myself. When you said about switching yogurt, the Greek yogurt for sour cream, can you do that for like French onion
Everything.
dip for
You
people
can do
who
it
have
before.
it?
So that I actually brought this here
I'm
because.
like, maybe I can fool my family next.
Oh, you can. No one is gonna know. No one will ever know. No one ever in the history of me doing it has ever known. I've gone as far as to put it in the sour cream thing so my daughter doesn't try and pretend like she knows.
And you use the same amount of Greek yogurt as you would the sour cream?
1 to 1.
Perfect.
I was saying, when we talked that Monday, when you were talking that Monday night, I said every week I make a jar, like a container of Greek yogurt, and I do, stevia and cinnamon in one, and then I'll do like a powdered like dill, like Pampered Chef dill, or the French onion, and so that always have something like you can dip the Pita Chips in that one, or I'll dip like apple slices in the cinnamon, and so I have those every
So
week.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just keep it in your fridge. So talking about like quick and easy things, I have a lot of people where I'm like, grab some carrots or some Mary's Gone crackers, like something like that. Dip those, have that Greek yogurt container in there. All you're doing is dumping a pack of this in there, just mixing it up, and now you have 4 to 5 servings of a protein source. So things like that, like quick and easy, like we have to, our lives are too busy.
Yeah.
We have to make it work for us. And for some people, they do have the time to prep, and that's wonderful. But it's about how can it work for me? Okay.
So I'm here just because, as you know, I need protein.
And more protein, and when you think you've had enough, you need more.
Yes, it's like, Lynn, you're up to 90, 95, you gotta go more, so.
It's a challenge. It's not
It
easy to
is.
do.
Yes.
It is not easy to do. And the biggest thing is just, I always tell people, if you want to make it really simple for yourself and a pain in the ass, but really simple, at every single time you eat, get in 20 grams of protein. I don't care how many times a day you're eating. Get in 20 grams of protein, bare minimum. If you're only eating 3 times a day, you're going to want to go for more than that. If your goal is just if you're just starting and you're like, okay, I need to get 125 grams a day, easy way to calculate it, how much do I weigh? 1 gram per the pound that I weigh, my pound.
Well, I did
Ish.
remember what you said about we were watching something the other day, and you were telling, I think it might have been Carol, about getting the morning route, the 5:45, have something.
Yep.
So before I came, I had my core shake, which was 42 grams of protein.
Nice. What kind of shake is that?
Oh my God.
The core, the Fairlife
It's
Core
Fairlife
Power.
Core
So I
Power.
have this one. So I have just switched over to these. So I have to tell you, I found them after you told me about them on our Monday night thing. So I've done the Core Power, which are 42 grams. I think you've been doing that one for a while, right?
I do that with
Yep.
mine. nightly drink.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's
They're
Fairlife.
really good.
So I got these at Walmart,
Yeah.
but Fairlife, they don't have to be refrigerated, which I still don't know
And they, I don't
why.
understand it.
It's a mystery to me. You should have seen me the other day for like half an hour just doing this.
I was like,
I know, the expiration date on them is ridiculous.
I know,
Like
it's
the
milk,
milk.
but it says the very first ingredient is filtered low-grade milk. I don't understand, like, there's no added protein, it's baffling, but they're delicious, they don't bother my stomach, and I feel fantastic after I eat them.
And how many grams in that one?
This one is 150 calories and 30 grams of protein.
Okay.
So I always found with the core that I can't always finish it.
Well,
And
yeah.
I have to tell you, this tastes like chocolate milk for real. I'm gonna start tricking my daughter with these now. This is my next thing.
Well, my husband finds the 42 is
Yeah.
hard
They
on
got
his
a lot of
stomach.
calories though.
Yeah.
So, but the 26 one, because you can get it in 26 protein on 42, same size, is easier on his
Yeah,
stomach.
this
So
one's
I just
easier
bought
on
him
my
a
stomach.
12-pack for Christmas. I'm
Oh,
not
that's
That's the only present I have for him. He's getting.
I have none either, you're good.
He's getting shake.
Yeah, these are if anyone hasn't tried, I will
I'll try
swear
those
by them,
too.
like swear by them.
Okay.
And sometimes you have to go on Amazon.
They're hard to
Okay.
find, just go to the store before.
Hi,
I
I'm
always get
Megan.
them on Amazon.
I'm here because
Yeah.
I don't eat enough ever. I've got 2 kids that I'm trying to incorporate healthier options in what I'm doing for them as well, because especially my little one. And I've always just fought the battle. So my new goal is to not have a goal. So I'm not looking at the scale, I'm doing it because I have to. But I don't care about the scale, like you're saying, I care about how I feel. And I know I need to do that with food replacement. But the thing I struggle with too is being a single mom is I'm on a budget. So I'm trying to find things, and it's mind-boggling to me how you can fill your cart full of shit and pay a third of the price as you do when you're buying limited, good-for-you items. So it's like, how do I stretch my budget to the most
So
maximum?
do you wanna know some of the easiest things, cause I have been a single mom always.
Mhm.
And what I lived on for a very long time, my breakfast every single day was have a cup of oatmeal, which oatmeal is super inexpensive. And there is 30 servings in here, so for $2.50, there's 30 servings.
Okay.
So I did half a cup of oatmeal, I would buy the egg whites, like the actual carton of egg whites, because you get 5 or 6 servings out of that. Dump it right into the oatmeal with some water and microwave it, and I would throw on some ground flaxseed. That was my breakfast every day for years. Then I did yogurt and half an apple for a snack. I did tuna and half a sweet potato for lunch. I did a protein shake for that, just a scoop of protein, so it was 67 cents. I like have it all mapped out. 67 cents for my afternoon snack, and then I did some chicken, which is $1.99 a pound, with some type of carbohydrate like brown rice or something for dinner. Because I had 2 kids and I had to do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's where for me, it's a struggle too, because like I said, I just don't eat enough. So when I'm trying to like stick in my protein, and then I'm also one like, I don't like eating the same thing. So if I like food prep for a week, the next week I have to completely change something.
I used to do that. So one
Too,
week I would do
'cause-
fish, one week I would do chicken, one week I would do like something, because it would change it up, something like the black bean pasta or edamame pasta. The reason being, these are a protein and a carbohydrate in one. So this is 25 grams of protein and 25 grams of carbs. All I throw in is a vegetable and I'm good to go. So something like that, and just changing that kind of stuff up. So it's just looking at like every one of those things I just named that I did each day, all of those were protein and carbohydrate based.
Okay.
So that's what you look at, like and sweet potatoes are pretty inexpensive, apples are pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
So looking at things like that, and just saying, and like the sweet potatoes, that's a good modification to get your kids into, you know what I mean?
Right.
So stuff like that, I mean, it's just making it, how do I get, and I do wanna go back on stuff like you, a minute ago, you said, I'm not doing this now, you changed because of how you wanna feel. And you also said because I have to.
No,
But she said I don't want to because, right? Yeah.
On what? Because you
Weighing your
have-
scale.
Oh, okay, so
Because
you,
like I've always been focused like on that board and my milestone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, like I need to get that out of my head too, because I need to just invest in myself too in the nutritional piece. Cause I'll come in here and get all my stress out and sweat it out, but then the compensation, like you're like on the go. I'm always in my car. Like I live here, I'm going to get one kid at one place, the next kid at another place, and like by the time I get home and making the dinners and things like that. So looking for like on the go options.
So
Making things quick and easy.
these are right here, and these are $2.79 bag. But for me, so I'm always on the go. Literally 4 o'clock in the morning until nighttime.
Yeah.
And same type of situation. So what I try and do is I keep things in my car, always. Like I always have this in my car. I always have these in my car. And I always have a can of tuna. I almost always have an apple. And these are really good as well, like little like beef jerky, like any type of beef jerky, just look at the sugar content. So those are things that it's like, okay, I can take a few bites of this so that I'm getting something into my system. Like these, I'll eat a whole bag and I'm like, okay, I'm good. Because it'll get me until my next, like where I can actually eat. So it prevents you from being in starvation mode. It's quick and easy, and then you're never left without something.
Right, okay.
And they legitimately, like a 4-pack of those, they never even come in my house. Like these are just staying here because I'm gonna need to eat. There's probably 5 empty bags of these in my car, which is pathetic, but it is what it is. That's my life right now. We have to go with what our life is right now.
Right.
It's like, how do I support what like you said, you got rid of your goals. How do I support how I wanna feel?
Right.
And still take care of myself while I'm taking care of these other things that demand my attention.
Well, that's just it, because I've always struggled, and I know that it's not gonna ever not be a struggle. So instead of, my thing was I get to my goal weight, like I'm gonna lose 50 pounds, and then I get there, and then I gain 20 back, and then I get to 60 pounds, and then I get to my goal, and then I gain 10 back.
What's your goal weight? Why is that set there? Why do you have a goal weight?
I don't know, that's what I mean.
That's beautiful.
So that's where my mind shift is, so now I need to build the habit of the nutrition piece and making the replacements and having them stick and not making those types of excuses. So
Well,
it's
and
like,
creating such a solid foundation, when you start making those little changes, they just become a part of your lifestyle. It's such a solid foundation
right,
that there isn't the back and forth and up and down because it's just who you are.
exactly, and that's where like I started, and you said earlier, like the baby steps. That's kind of where I am like now, being so far into this journey, this is the step, and it's where I'm at this point, because I try like going all in doing it, and I think that's too why sometimes it doesn't stick, because like you said, you can't just make the switch, you've gotta trick yourself over time. So I do good in the store for the most part, but like looking at some of your different sauces and just your ideas too on those easy to switch, like Greek yogurt, cream cheese.
And there is, some of them are just so, and like when you're baking, a huge one, if it calls for butter or oil, take it out, add an unsweetened applesauce. That's a huge one. You can also substitute yogurt there. But like always, so that's one little thing, always make certain it's unsweetened, because they sweeten everything. Applesauce does not need to be sweetened, but they're sweetening it.
Right.
So just always check for stuff like that.
That's in place of butter, you said?
In a recipe. Yeah, and if you're adding protein powder to a baked recipe, like baked goods, always add half a cup of water. Because the water, so if you're adding protein powder to a baked recipe, like if it calls for 2 cups of flour, do 1.5 cups of the flour, and then 1 cup of the protein powder, 3/4 to 1 cup, and then add in half a cup of water, otherwise it's gonna be really dry. Yeah. But so basically butter's in there to make it moist, and that's what the unsweetened applesauce does.
So you said butter and oil replaced with applesauce? Anytime a recipe calls for like butter.
I have not used butter or oil in a recipe. Like I do use it for so I use coconut oil for the Oreo cookie cream pies, but I use
that was so
a tenth of the amount. There's a tenth of the amount it calls for, and then I use Greek yogurt. So I don't like like frosting. It's different.
Yeah.
But I don't use it in any of the other frostings. But yeah, for anything in a baked good, I haven't used oil ever. So I just use this.
So it's a swap even for even.
Volume or weight.
And what about
But
like,
I usually put in like half a cup per whatever it calls. I'm not gonna lie, I just dump. So I'm like trying to write my recipes for my employees, and I'm like, 3 seconds of dumping?
Call it a pour,
Okay, pour sounds, okay, that's what I'll start using pour, that's gonna make their lives easier. Like, what kind of 3 seconds? If it's a burpee 3 second, it's totally different.
That's awesome. So you just trial and error a lot of, as you've gone through this journey, like you just kind of play with things and then.
Because the trial and error was better than where I was stuck.
Right.
I would rather trial and error and fail and fail and fail trying to get to where I needed to be in order to be okay and happy in my life
Mm-hmm.
than stuck somewhere because I was chasing something that wasn't even attainable. And
Yeah.
someone said that to me one day. She said, when are you gonna be there? She said, because everything you're doing in your life, all these spaces you're running in and all these things you're trying to better yourself to be good enough. She's like, when are you gonna be there and where the hell is it?
Right.
And it was so like I have goosebumps now saying it because it was so eye-opening to me. And it took me a couple years for it to really sink in, but I was like, holy crap, that's so true. Like we are so busy chasing being better than what we are, that we're missing out on everything that's right here.
Right.
Every single thing. Instead of just saying, you know what, I'm gonna try this today, I'm gonna add this in, and see if I feel better. If I feel better, I'll add it in again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So instead, we distract ourselves from that, and I'm calling myself out on this, and we freaking eat a bunch of cookies or a bunch of bullshit. We don't feel good, and then we want to distract ourselves from not feeling good again, and then we do it again the next day. After we write down our goals of not doing it again.
Shut up, Naomi.
Because that's the
Why are
thing.
you following me?
You make the change in, like, for me, my kids, my youngest, I've turkey burgers now her thing, and when she loves tacos, so she's getting turkey burger, and it took me a while, and I had to do some modifications and little things like that. But like the other night, we didn't have a lot of time, and I got one of those like mac and cheese, and I ate it after being clean eating for the last 4 weeks, and I woke up the other morning, I was like, oh my god, what'd you do to yourself? Like, why would you do that? It wasn't even worth it.
Yeah.
So it makes me more conscious though, when you see the effects of eating the crap instead of taking the time to just get
Which is
something
actually the
better.
most beautiful gift.
Yes.
People actually, sometimes they're like, oh my god, I ate this the other day, and I feel like crap, and I'm like, that's good.
Cause now
I'm
you
glad
know
you
what
felt
makes
like
you
crap. Write it down.
Yeah.
Because next time you see this, you're gonna think that. You're gonna think about, oh my god, so I really wrote, oh wait, next time I felt like crap the next day, I didn't show up in my life the way I would have liked to because my jeans didn't fit me, I cried for half an hour. And it's like all this because we ate something that made us feel like shit.
Right.
And it's really that powerful and it's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love that you had that experience. I'm sorry you felt like crap.
No, but it's eye-opening, and that's what I mean, it's just part of the journey. So
It is. Oh,
I
absolutely,
appreciate your
yes.
feedback and insights on some things
Thank
too,
you.
'cause it just makes it hard, and like you go, and it's overwhelming, like she said, it gets overwhelming.
So
You start
much.
and it's like, where do you go? But incremental changes over
Picking
time
like
is
3 or
where.
4 things, which is, I mean, that's why I gave you guys that top sheet that's there. We will write on that at the end, so don't let me forget, please. We're gonna write down those top 3 things for us.
Okay.
What are the top 3 things that are challenging for me and that I can work on, and how am I gonna do that? Because otherwise, it's what are these top 60 things that I have to work on?
Right.
Instead, it's like, no, let's just focus on these. This is all I gotta do. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tara, and this is my first macro workshop. So past to present, I have always had such a strong respect for nutrition. I think it like really affects so much of our lives. And it was something I realized when I was a teenager. I kind of never was like guided in nutrition as a teenager. And then I started making changes. I was a dancer and an actor, so I made changes because I wanted to feel healthier and I wanted to look better. And I almost took those changes to like an unhealthy extreme, and I had some poor influences around me. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I definitely noticed a change in like switching things to like a more healthy alternative. And then starting EvoFit now and like thinking that I had a pretty good handle on nutrition and that I was doing like the right thing. Now that I'm becoming more aware of what I eat and how I eat it, and how little I eat and all of those things, learning that I have no idea what I'm doing and that I'm actually not eating as healthy as I thought I was. I am in a household of lazy vegetarians, so my boyfriend has the metabolism of an Olympic swimmer and does like 10 push-ups a day. So if he were to choose what to eat, we'd be eating pizza every night, because it's vegetarian and it's easy and he can.
Are you a vegetarian?
I am too,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I'm a little more flexible, but
Fish, eggs.
I eat eggs.
Okay.
But eating is like the one time we have together,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like kind of how we bond in a way. So like how he has to eat and how I feel like I have to eat are like very different. But I kind of like give into what he's doing a little bit.
Maybe not so much how you have to eat, but how you're choosing to eat.
Exactly. So finally looking at the labels of all these like vegetarian products too, I'm like, ooh, that's a carb, and like, ooh, that has a lot of like salt in it, or like things like that. So yeah, I also have a schedule where I literally have from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. I have 1 hour to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I work in an atmosphere where I can't like take a break and eat something. I'm like go until I leave the office.
But you could drink a shake or do something like that, eat a yogurt.
I'm on a sales floor all day long, and I see like an assembly line of people. So it's even like hard for me to like find time to use the bathroom. Like it's like intense. So obviously that's not healthy, but that's just the reality of it right now.
Yeah.
So my lunch break is at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And I leave the office at 5. Then I jet over here as quickly as I can, throw my gym clothes on, do my workout, and then I go home.
Do you drink water?
Oh, I drink tons of water.
What if you had a protein that you could add to your water? Like if you're
I could
drinking
do that,
water
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, so
So do you do vegan protein as well?
So I've tried to be vegan in the past, and it never really lasts too long.
Are you able to do whey?
What's that?
Whey? Are you able to do whey? Like, does it bother your stomach? Have you ever tried a protein powder that was whey based?
So the one I have right now, I think is pea
Okay, so
protein.
that's vegetarian. Okay.
But it doesn't have as much protein as like the other ones. I eat protein bars, which I'm sure have whey in them, but they do upset my stomach a little
What
bit.
kind of protein bars are they?
They're like at Hannaford's. Like I just grab whichever one.
I'll show you a couple ones today.
Has the
Yeah.
So I am like super lost, I've realized, but I love educating myself about nutrition and all those awesome things. I just feel like there's so much information. Like
It's so much missing. Yeah, so much.
So I'm always looking for somebody to like guide me towards like what I actually should be educating
Yes, dumb it
myself
down.
with, because there's all kinds of philosophies.
What
towards
really
science and stuff.
matters.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's what really
Yeah.
matters. And I have to say, like, truly, what I will say is that whatever actually works for somebody is what really matters. That's what really matters, is what works for somebody. I have people that for a year have been consistently telling me they want to do keto, and for a year have not been doing keto. And I'm like, this isn't working for you because you're not doing it. So why are you trying to do something so complicated? Because it's not happening. You're not doing it. So stop thinking you're doing it and do something that actually works. And I think a lot of people do that. It doesn't matter, like we don't have to eat every 3 hours necessarily. I think one of the best things about eating every 3 hours, most people, if they don't eat all day, they're gonna overeat at night. Therein lies the problem. If someone has control and they don't do that, then fine. But what it does come down to is it doesn't have to be complicated, especially if you know about macros. Literally, if you think every 3 to 4 hours, if that's what you can do, like if you can only get in a shake or something like that with some protein, but every few hours, I'm going to get in something that has protein and carbohydrate. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's legitimately that simple, especially if you're going to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's how, like you just said, dumb it down. That's how simple it can be, but we overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Because our bodies are that's what we mainly function on. Our brain functions on carbohydrates. So that's all it has to be. That's why I said, like the protein shake, you can put a scoop of protein and you can put I have a ton of people that do this. They put in half a cup of oatmeal and a scoop of protein into a shaker, shake it up and drink it really fast.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
So,
Shake it up and drink it really fast. You have a protein, you have a carb, and now you have energy and you actually feel good.
Yeah.
So something like that, like there's definitely ways. So we'll figure that. Yep, exactly.
And then just to go off of what someone mentioned over there, I struggle at dinner time too. That's when like the mask comes off and like
Oh yeah, the world's not here to watch me. I'm in my sweatpants and braless. It's all goes.
Exactly. Bras off and I'm like, where are the snacks? And like that's kind of like the only time I have to relax. So
But you know why
just,
you're doing that? Science is taking over your body. You haven't eaten all day. And now you are home, your blood sugar is so low, your cravings are kicking in, and willpower is totally out the window because you have no energy. So your body's now craving sugar, the fastest form of energy. You're gonna eat every carbohydrate in that house. I only speak from experience. But it is in fact science. Like your body, willpower goes out the window when science takes over. Just like if we drink alcohol, we're not thinking about what is on that pizza or in that pizza, we're just eating it. Because our body now, it's craving those carbohydrates. So that's what's happening. So you will notice automatically, you'll have to break the habit of it, but your body will stop craving it if you're eating more during the day.
Yeah.
So,
Can you bring a cooler to work or like a little bag?
drinkable yogurt.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you can drink water, you can get something in your body. There is a way.
Oh, totally.
You have to, okay, so this will go back to something else. And because believe me, I understand, when I'm working all day, sometimes I forget to eat and my employee yells at me.
Yeah.
But, we have to prioritize ourselves. We have to, even if it's for 3 minutes every 4 hours. Like, drink a protein shake while you're going pee. No one's gonna stop you. I'll say all the weird stuff.
Exactly.
Honestly, that's like how it is.
No, I
With
waitressed for so
COVID
many
too,
years. I was in the
having
same
to wear a
situation.
Like I wear a mask all day,
Yeah.
so like before I could like sneak something in my desk and like toss it in my mouth, but I can't take my mask off until I'm like in a separate part of the office. So
For
like,
real? Okay, this is your new plan about, it's the bathroom.
Yeah.
well, I'll have like a little.
It's gotta be funny for everyone else involved, but.
Yeah. No,
There she
it's-
goes.
Under the sink where they keep the toilet paper and the tampons, you're gonna have protein shakes.
Yeah.
It's like a smorgasbord.
And some Quest chips.
Yeah, exactly. Just for happiness.
I think too, it's
Okay.
hard to get past like the whole, like the snack thing, like for me, like you're eating something like all day, so.
It's
when you're
based,
snacking, you know?
yeah, so it's not even, I consider any time you're eating a meal. If you're eating, it's a meal, it's not a snack. If you're eating, it's a meal. So if I'm looking to get in a certain number of calories every day to provide my body with the energy it needs to function, that's me eating a meal. And even if it's a yogurt or a protein shake, like, okay, I ate something. So that's, I try people not to think like, okay, I'm having 3 meals and 2 snacks.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm eating 5 times because that's what my body needs to keep its energy.
Mhm.
So it's just reframing to make it work for you, so it's not thinking, oh my god, and that's only supposed to have this many calories, that's supposed to look like that. How's this look for me?
I'm Deb, and I'm pretty good at meal prepping for the week. During the week when, you know, you're at work and things are really structured and
Organized,
like very,
yeah.
and then it gets to the weekend and it all goes away, right? Pretty good at breakfast because that's to me easy for some reason, and then socializing and doing stuff on weekends and being with other people, the whole nutrition thing kind of gets put on the sideline, so I wanna tighten that up a little bit and not destroy any progress I made during the week and 2 days on the weekend.
And it's crazy, a lot of people do that. They really do, because they'll put themselves in a deficit during the week or be maintained, and then they take in an extra 4,000 calories on the weekend, so now, so many people, and then they're actually starting over. So if you watch it, it's like, okay, well it was, and now it's been there, okay, yeah. What do you think is the biggest challenge? Why the weekends? Like, what are you doing that, like, are you drinking alcohol? Are you leaving it up to other people? Are you going out to eat?
Probably all the above.
Okay, all right, okay. So it's kind of, so with stuff like that, what I usually do tell people, it is definitely having more knowledge about what to choose when you go out to eat, about what to drink when you are drinking, and then also about knowing exactly why it is you wanna make a change, because if there's no good reason behind it, we don't wanna not hang out with our friends, like, we don't wanna not do these things that we enjoy when we finally can, like, let loose. So it's kind of like, why would you wanna change those things? So, why would you wanna change those things?
It would be nice if not every social event was circled around food all the
Mhm.
time.
Right.
I feel like it is sometimes,
Yeah,
so.
it is. And then just also knowing if you go unprepared, like if you drink a protein shake before you go or have something before you go.
That's what I've been doing too.
Then
Yep.
you're not so hungry when you get there that, again, the science of it takes over. And sometimes, and also the thing on the weekends, whether we want to admit it or not, because I'm like this, or used to be, I'm getting a little bit better, is it's an excuse for us not to be so, it's almost like, oh, well, I'm going to a party, so. Like all week, I ate everything right when everyone was, but everyone's doing it here, so no one cares, so it's okay. And we do, but our goal is still there. So it's like, well, it doesn't really, so it's, honestly, it's always gonna be that way. So it's changing how you look at it. It's like, okay, so if I walk into this party, what's the protein I'm eating? And then I'm picking one thing I really want. That's usually what I focus on. I'm eating something protein first, and then I'm picking the one thing I really want.
Well, it's funny because I started at EvoFit the winter before COVID, I guess winter of 20, right before COVID really hit, right? And I lost all kinds of weight during COVID, like all the
'Cause you were not
lockdown
out
stuff, because I
social,
wasn't out with people. And
You're not, I've had a couple different clients like that. They're like, I actually lost weight.
yeah, everybody was like, oh, I gained all this weight, and I'm like, why?
And it worked from home, and so I walked every day at 4 o'clock, and
Yeah.
it was,
We were able to shut down and not have the world watching us. It was for me, it was awesome because I'm like, no one's watching me. I can do whatever the hell I want. I lost weight too. Like I was able to reprioritize without the noise of life. It's crazy, like without all the noise telling me what I was supposed to be doing.
Or the boss bringing donuts to the office.
There's that too.
There's that.
Potlucks, that's been like the blessing in disguise.
Yeah, there are blessings. Okay, Kim, hi.
Hi, I'm Kim, and I would follow Naomi home if I could, and that's why I'm here. She's incredibly inspirational. She's very patient as a human being, and every time I come to Naomi's or to any of the things that we do, I always sort of, like, a piece of my soul is fulfilled. Just listening to people and knowing that we're all in the same space and struggling with the same things, like, almost everybody here, like I'm like Deb, I do really well during the week, and then on the weekends it's a free-for-all. And then I'm not really good at saying the things that I do well. I'm very hypercritical. But I've been starting to go to parties and not eat anything, and guess what? Nobody freaking notices.
No one cares.
No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And that's totally powerful to realize when you've done it a couple of times. And I'm certainly not perfect at it, but I've gotten so much better because it's like, oh, we're hanging out with our friends. It's an excuse to have a good time. So the more I feel like I do this kind of thing, the more it helps me be a better human and the person that I want to be versus the one that I am, if that makes sense.
It's still the person that you are.
Yeah.
It's just actually allowing yourself to be who you are. It's
the
not-
better version of myself.
Well, the very best version of ourselves.
That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Where you feel every day like, okay, I'm not disappointing myself.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing for all of us. And like we were talking about the weekend thing is we it's amazing when we actually think about it. It's like, oh my God, I feel so good. And I feel so like I've done all the things that I promised myself I'm going to do. And then we go into something that's like, what the hell is wrong with me? And we start berating ourselves and beating on ourselves when it's really just learning. It's just learning about like, okay, this doesn't work for me, or learning that no one gives a flying rat's ass what the hell I'm eating.
And
at this
success
party.
begets success, right? Like if you do it once and then you do it again, you then become more powerful and then you can do it again.
Well, what
It's
you're doing is you're
success
keeping
building.
that promise to yourself, so with each time you do that, you're starting to trust yourself again. When we don't trust ourselves, we can't even, it's like we can't even get our head wrapped around anything because we live in that shame cycle of there's something wrong with me. I feel shame because I made this promise and I broke it, so who am I to be deserving? Whereas if we just think, okay, so I made that promise, I broke it, why did I do that? What did I learn from this? How can I do it better next time? Because I don't want to effing feel like that again.
And this is why I want to follow you home. I'm not creepy, I promise.
If I see you outside, I'll invite you in. We'll have soda, water, and vodka. Speaking of which, so I think you and I have talked about it actually. Like, okay, so for anyone here who drinks, if you don't, I don't understand, but
You
if
don't
you
want
do, just kidding. So I don't drink very often, but so it is the holidays and the weekends and drinking and stuff. It's just about choosing what it is you're doing. So if you're, I think we've talked about this, so if you're gonna have, like, and this is something no one gives a crap either, when I go out to drink or if I'm having a drink at home, I will have a drink and I'll have an extra soda water with it. And I'll just, as that gets halfway down, I add it to it. And I just keep doing that. No one cares. People are like, well, what's everyone gonna think? No one is, they're drinking their own drink, the whole thing. They don't care. They've forgotten about you. So it's just doing little things like that. It sounds silly, but you just saved yourself almost 200 calories on this little tiny thing, plus the effect it's having on your body, because your body stops fat metabolism when you're drinking. Stops completely. So anything you're taking in pure sugar, and your body's not metabolizing it, it's storing it. And yeah, that's exactly what happens. So, and then if you eat food, it's not metabolizing it, it's storing it. And then you're also dehydrated, and you're taking in it's more calories than regular food. And it's all sugar.
And it's the only thing I don't like about her. Just
You're really pissing me off. So, yeah, so it's just one of those things that's like, and believe me, I don't, when you want a drink, like you're gonna have a drink, just have some awareness around it, and how can I make this the best possible option for me so that I wake up on Monday morning and I feel good about it. So that's all.
Can you, like, so I usually do, like, if I'm having a drink with a friend, and it's usually not a lot either, but I always just do a cup of water, like if I'm drinking, and then I always, like.
But you can do that. What are you drinking?
It just varies.
Okay.
I don't have a favorite drink.
One of the things I always tell people is if you want to be aware of it, is always do vodka, like always do clear, because that's gonna have less sugar in it.
Yeah.
And vodka has the least amount of calories. But yeah, water's fine. I just happen to drink it with soda water, so I just add more soda water to it, so it cuts down. But yeah, I mean, drinking water with it is perfect.
So it's I was just wondering if it's kind of the same thing.
Pretty much the same thing. Yep, exactly. As long as it's causing, the thing is, it's causing you to drink less. So if it's causing you to drink less, then that's what it is, because you're still getting, and plus if you're a lightweight like me, like you're still getting the effect from it, and you're drinking less of it. Whereas if we have a drink, we're gonna drink it. But if you're adding water to it, now you're drinking less of it, even if you're drinking the same amount.
You're drinking out of the same glass, it's still the same cocktail,
Yeah,
it's just got more water in it now.
I only have like one, when we go out, I'm just like, I'm a lightweight too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like a one.
I'm the same way.
Me
One
too.
yeah, I'm done after one.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're disappointed because Melissa.
Kim, this is what Kathy's gonna say, you need to, next time you go out, order a glass of ice.
Yeah.
Bring your Fairlight with you, and some nutmeg or cinnamon, and nobody will know.
But the other thing I wanna say is, you said that if you have alcohol, metabolism stops.
Your fat metabolism
So I
stops.
can't take that protein shake and add a little vodka to it and be
I
doing
mean,
something?
you can, because you're probably not gonna eat the chicken wings if you have your protein shake, because now
but
you're not starving.
my metabolism's not gonna do anything.
It's not gonna be, when you drink alcohol, your fat metabolism shuts down.
Okay.
Yes.
I know, right? It's so disappointing.
Is that any amount of alcohol? Like
When you drink
one
alcohol,
beverage?
that's how it affects your body.
Really?
Yep, your fat metabolism stops, and it's a pure sugar. Alcohol is a pure sugar, so now your body's not burning a pure sugar.
And Naomi will have to do the calculation here, but you think that you're drinking vodka or gin, like I really like gin, and there's no carbs in it,
Because it
that's a
says
total
that on
lie.
MyFitnessPal.
Right, so that's a total lie. There's like every 7 calorie.
It's 7 calories per, so per ounce, there's 7 calories. So per whatever it is, I'll figure, the number of carbs, thank you.
Yeah.
So, this is a perfect example. I was doing an Evolve client one day, and they had 3,000 calories, but it was the numbers weren't adding up. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, what's going on?
That's so funny.
So she told me, she goes, oh, well, that's the night I had 6 drinks. So we had to take the number of calories and divide it by the 6, and that gave us the number of carbs. It was something like 300 and something. Because there are, in fact, carbohydrates in that. So you take the calories, you divide it by 4, and that's gonna give you the number of carbohydrates.
Vodka too?
Any alcohol. Alcohol, yes, so it's sad.
You're ruining people's lives today, right?
Exactly.
Oh.
You had me up here, now I'm down here.
It's still the same. It has less, but it's still a carbohydrate. So no matter what, so this is something I will say about macro, like a carbohydrate. The reason people don't like carbohydrates is because there are different kinds.
Right.
But I will say this, I don't care if you're taking in, so some people will be like, well, I'm putting honey in my coffee instead. Sugar is sugar is sugar. I don't care what type of sugar you're taking in, it's sugar. The bad thing about, so regular sugar has 4 calories a gram. Alcohol has 7, and it's still a sugar. So that's all, and it stops fat metabolism. So it's not that I'm downing it, but just drink it when it's worth it.
That's all.
Oh.
Because 2 or 3 drinks every night is gonna bury you.
Yeah.
And it will, and it's all gonna go right here because that's where it's gonna store it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's stopping fat metabolism, so then we start gaining fat around our organs.
So if you have a good night and you're having fun and now you're reburning your fat. So what do you do the next day to like detox and purge yourself and get rid of all the
Drink,
stuff?
wake up in the morning, have warm water with some lemon juice and apple cider vinegar, and drink that first things first, and go work out.
And then you just pee and sweat it out?
Mm-hmm. It's still gonna be there, but it's gonna take a couple of days, because usually, like for me now, which is really weird, it's the second day.
Lemon
It's the
juice and what?
second day that I notice it. What?
Lemon juice and what?
Lemon juice and apple cider vinegar.
Not
And
that I
have that
need it
in
or
warm water.
Yeah, just write it down in case someone
Yeah,
no one
lemon
needs
juice,
it.
lemon juice, is that the same thing?
It is for something like that, yeah. But yeah, it helps, if it's the first thing you drink, it's warm, it's going into your body, it starts detoxing your system right away, it helps to flush some things out. Dandelion root tea is really good the next day too. It's a detoxifier. So, and just the biggest thing, the next day always gets people, because you're dehydrated and your body isn't metabolizing fat, so now you're craving alcohol. I mean, not craving alcohol, craving carbs.
Yeah.
So then you're gonna eat everything in sight. It's always like the second day that takes you down. So that's where you have to be really mindful.
So
'Cause
this
it's
is the breakdown. Vodka, so a 1.5 ounce of vodka is 97 calories and 0 carbs. So you have to divide 97, the number of calories, by 4
for the number of carbohydrates.
for the number of carbohydrates. So it's 25 carbs.
That's
And
just
per
zero
drink.
carbs. With
Divided by
what?
But MyFitnessPal doesn't tell you that.
It's
that was
just
only
a
an ounce and a half of
starting.
liquor?
Yep.
Why doesn't
when
it?
you have
Like
the
just like so here's another thing. If you
That's
see
nice.
anything, I actually didn't bring something today because I read it for the first time and it was chia seeds. I read it for the first time and the label was wrong. Because it said it had 8 carbohydrates and 9 grams of fiber. That's impossible. Fiber is a carbohydrate. So it's the same with alcohol. Alcohol is a sugar. So if you see something that says no sugar added, they're correct. They're not adding any sugar. It is a sugar. But if you look at alcohol, it says 0 grams of sugar. It is a sugar. That's what it is.
Do that.
Just so I can get this out of my system. I don't drink often, but if I do drink, I was told a long time ago that tequila isn't a sugar drink.
Yep, it is.
So I drink like a tequila on the rocks, that's still sugar,
Alcohol is sugar.
no matter what.
It's a
Like,
carbohydrated sugar.
She's got it right there.
It's
Look at almost any
Fairlight,
That's the
Right.
nice.
Yeah, okay, I just needed to like
Yep,
hear
yep.
that from.
And
an expert.
especially tequila is gonna have more because it's colored.
Like if it's
It's not as pure, yeah. So it's so alcohol across the board, I don't care what anyone ever says, it's a carbohydrate, it's a sugar. Any carbohydrate is a sugar. Let me look at like a normal carbohydrate, pumpkin is a sugar. It is a sugar, and it says on here, there's 4 grams of sugar. Like tomatoes are a sugar. Like any carbohydrate is a sugar, that's what it is in your body, but they talk about, go ahead, Kathy.
Well, but you know,
Kathy's mad.
I do seem to end up with too many carbohydrates, but I'm proud of myself. I don't eat bread. I don't eat any of that crap.
Right.
It's really just vegetables
Yeah,
and fruits.
totally fine.
But it gets up there.
That's okay. Carbohydrates are not bad.
So
It's
I can
weird.
have as many as I want as long as they're the good ones.
Just don't
What
eat
do you
too-
have
yes.
for protein with it? And
Oh,
how much?
oh,
What's
Is
your
your
protein
protein
with?
higher or lower than your
I make my
carbohydrates?
protein higher.
Okay, you're good.
Good.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't, it's
'Cause
the
they're not
type
simple
of
carbs.
carbohydrates you're
Right.
taking in.
Right.
Is this processed, so, okay, alcohol's a sugar, it's actually processed in your body as a sugar. Sweet potato is a sugar, but it's processed slower, it's a complex
Right.
carbohydrate because it has fiber in it. If it has fiber in it, that's the game changer.
Mm.
Oatmeal has fiber in it.
Right.
Think of anything that has fiber. Bread, not bad. Ezekiel bread has 4
yeah.
grams of fiber. White bread has none. That's the game changer. That fiber is slowing down the way that your body processes it. So now it's a complex carbohydrate, a good sugar for your body to give you energy as opposed to something fast like a pixie stick.
But it still counts in your carbohydrate count in my
But we don't
Fitness
care
Pal.
about
So I don't care about that?
carbohydrates if they're not coming from a bad place.
All right.
Now, if
Thank
your
you.
carbohydrates were like 300 and your protein was 60, that's the problem. You always want them, so what I tell people, if you want to make it real simple, keep them even.
If my protein's 160, I don't want my carbohydrates to be above that.
40-40-20, right?
Yep, 40-40-20. It's the easiest way. It really is the
No matter
easiest
what
way.
they are ultimately, just
Yeah.
as long as they match.
Yep.
Okay.
And then that way, it's easy enough. It's like, okay, well, my calories are too high. I'm not losing weight. I'm just gonna drop everything a little bit. It's not like, well, I have to look at 25%.
And never have to
Yes,
do
and I-
less carbs. You just drop everything a little bit.
Everything, okay,
If your carbohydrates are landing on your protein, winning.
okay.
Like, even if it's 1 gram, like at the same or under. That's all. Because then that means you're getting in more protein, your body's building more muscle, burning more fat. But the carbohydrates give you energy, so they're not bad, but sugar is not gonna give you energy.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar is actually gonna make you lethargic, and I think we all know this.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lisa. Lisa, who's
So-
dominating the boot camp floor.
Yeah.
I just want to learn more about. I buy all your food. I love your food.
Yeah.
right? And I just want to learn more about, how you make some of that and
Anything
what you
particular?
use. I don't have a lot of time. I work 2 jobs.
Oh my gosh.
I have to say, I would never make my food for Thrive for me. I only do that, like, I never would have prepped that way. Just so everyone knows, this
Yeah.
is not like what I do. I always did, like, I'm gonna boil some chicken, throw sweet potatoes in the microwave, bag of frozen green beans, I'm good to go. Like, that's my food prep if I wasn't making Thrive meals.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I
They're
learned
awesome.
from you, the frozen vegetables.
frozen
That's a
vegetables.
game changer for me because I'm never home and then I don't have to throw it away. Cause my other problem is I don't like to throw it away, but
Yeah, you
then
waste
if I don't
money.
have time
Right.
to eat it, and then it's like, oh, then I'm not gonna buy you lettuce, I'm not gonna buy you spinach. But then to feel like you can buy the frozen and it does the same thing.
Right.
It's even
And
better
has
for
better
you.
nutritional value is what you
Mhm.
said in that last meeting.
Yeah.
That is like, ah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it's retaining all the nutritional value, and because it's frozen, it's flash frozen.
About the time all the fresh vegetables are gonna go, I like panic make vegetable soup.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
Crock
right?
pot. Crock pot something.
Yeah.
That's where detox soup came from. I'm like, oh.
And your desserts are, oh my gosh.
I know.
Phenomenal. I'm like, how can this
Isn't it
be
great?
healthy?
You know, it's just funny. I'm telling you, you go on, I will give you guys the name of the websites. You go on,
It
it's
is-
just knowing the way, like the gingerbread cake,
Yeah.
carrot
Oh my-
juice.
What are those chocolate
That's what made it
peanut
so
butter?
moist.
What are those
Oh, the
chocolate?
fudges, the peanut butter cups. So that right
Oh,
there,
yeah.
okay, I will tell you, that was an accident, first off. I accidentally left something sitting out all day, and my
That's
boyfriend's like, what
hilarious.
is this deliciousness? I'm like, I left it, I don't know.
Oh my god, they're so good. I'm like, how can this be healthy?
But
Yeah.
so it's not, and that's the thing is, stuff like that, like people always say, well, I can eat this, and it's good. Yes, if it's in moderation, like if you're eating that
Right.
as one of your meals, like if
Yeah.
peanut butter cups that have
I know.
6 grams of protein,
Right.
6 grams of carbohydrates,
Yeah.
2 grams of
My
fat,
meal.
it's a meal.
Mhm.
That is one of your meals, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to look perfect, because if you don't do that, you're gonna want a real peanut butter
Right.
cup.
Right.
What do you
So
use
it's-
for the peanut butter?
I use,
This
Me
is
too.
You do not.
so, yes I do.
Oh my
So this is exactly, I will tell you just how I make them.
Wow.
I use this. There is a trick to it. I'm not going to go with it because I have learned through trial and error that there's ways you have to add everything in. But I'm going to tell you what's in them because it's so simple. There's this. I do this. I do use a little bit of coconut oil just in the pan, but I use that for like 160 of them, like a tablespoon of coconut oil. This, and a scoop of protein powder, a little bit of stuff in. That's it. I mix it, and but you have to do it like in a certain, because it does, like, it still tastes good. It doesn't look as pretty. And then the filling, so simple. It's PB2, some protein powder, chocolate protein powder, a little bit of the cocoa sometimes if I'm feeling like it, sugar-free maple syrup.
Wow.
What is PB2?
Ooh,
Oh,
drugs is
that's-
my
I
love.
still have never
It's my
tried
love.
it.
That's awesome.
So
PB2
good.
is
So
powdered
good.
peanut butter. So what they're doing, so here, we'll go into some comparisons now. So what they're doing is they take peanuts and they roast them and then they compress all the oil out. So 2 tablespoons of, actually let me look at this. Okay, just so you know ahead of time, this is not healthy. So even if it says natural, but we'll get into label reading. So basically, 2 tablespoons of this is 200 calories, 16 grams of fat. A lot of people think that how many people here eat peanut butter because it's protein?
I did.
Fat,
used to
yeah,
have
no
more.
more.
My
Yeah.
mother told me, no.
I did.
Before almond
Yeah.
butter, and I was gonna ask you about it.
Yeah, you can't tell anymore.
Of almond butter?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
almond
shakes.
butter and like,
Just has the
and
big
like
one.
almonds and stuff, I don't see any of that, so I was gonna.
There's
There's
almonds in the
almonds
front.
up here, I just
Okay.
don't have an almond butter jar. Almond butter's okay.
Okay.
Any type of peanut butter, almond butter, anything like that, if you're gonna have it, you wanna read the label and all that's in that, all
Right.
is almonds or peanuts.
Yeah.
Like this has palm kernel oil, sugar, molasses, like there's all kinds of stuff in here. So this has 200 calories, 16 grams of fat, 7 grams of protein. Whatever is predominant on this label is what it is. So if this has 17 grams of fat and 7 grams of protein, this is a fat, not a protein. It has protein. It's like the protein bars that are like protein, granola bar, and it has 4 grams of protein. Not protein. So this has 50 calories a serving for 1.5 grams of fat and 6 grams of protein. Now it's protein. You wanna make something delicious and make your life easy, so when we're talking about easy meals, take PB2. Make it with water. A lot of people just put it in shakes. Make it with water, put in a scoop or 2 of protein powder. And now you have protein peanut butter. So now you have something that just went from having 6 grams of protein to 15 or 16, put it on a slice of Ezekiel bread, now you have your 20 grams of protein and your carbohydrates and a little bit of fat.
Wait, what do? You take that?
You make the PB2, so you take I put it in a little glass jar, so that I have it in my fridge, for like, it usually lasts 4 or 5 days. Make it with the water to your consistency liking, add in a couple scoops of protein powder, now you have protein peanut butter. And you can put it on whatever, Ezekiel toast, pita bread, something like, these are my favorite things.
And you can make it ahead of time.
Oh yeah, I have it all week, yep, it's in my fridge all week. So then you could toast like a Joseph's, the oat flax lavash, and put it right on there. So that's another really good, like, easy meal. So I'll take this just like it is, do fresh strawberries and the PB2 and put that in here. And now you have the protein from this, you have protein from the PB2, and you have the strawberries. It's delicious.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
I can't believe it's not butter spray.
Yes. So there are some things that I will, because I know a lot of people use it. I had to give up butter and cheese immediately. Like, that was the first thing I had to do because I had a problem. And this is years and years ago. So I'm like, what are the things that I know if I have them, I'm gonna eat more of them than I should? It's just like having regular sugar in my house. If I have like Reese's peanut butter cups in my house, I'm eating them all until I don't feel good, and then I might drive to the store to buy more. So it's just what it is. I came to terms with it. Butter was one of my hard things. I do use a little bit of this and spray it on like popcorn if I'm having that, or on stuff. Like, for me, it's not one of the best things for you. It keeps me from overeating other things. It's one of my few vices that I'm like, I'm okay with it, I'm at peace with it within myself. There's also other things like these little spray, like avocado oil or olive oil. What this helps you do, and by the spraying, what it helps you do is reduce the calories. So that's really what it comes down to. And I will say, so when I first started making my recipes and I wasn't ready to give up butter yet and didn't discover unsweetened applesauce, I used to use this instead. So this is the big thing about this. A lot of people are like, it has 0 calories, 0 fat. There are 1,100 calories in here and 102 grams of fat. If it is under 1 gram per serving, they can say it's 0.
Oh my.
Isn't that awful?
If you look at the second ingredient, it's impossible. Soybean oil is the second ingredient. It's impossible. So I actually went and researched it. So they say that there's 17, so they're calling 1 spray a serving. So it's 0.2 grams. So they don't have to tell you, but there actually is. So it's about 1,100 calories and about a little bit over 100 grams of fat in this jar, in this bottle.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that
It's
is.
just like peanut butter. Read your labels. Trans fat, does everyone here know what trans fat
Oh,
is?
yeah.
Do you know what it is?
It's not good, right?
It's not good.
It's just bad.
Okay, but do you know what it is? Because this will be burned in your brain forever and you will never eat it again.
Something disgusting.
Is that in the Skippy peanut butter?
It's not in this one, it's in the other one.
Oh.
So if it says natural and it says 0 grams of trans fat, you look at the label. If it says hydrogenated oils, that is trans fat. But they can say there's none in it. We're never supposed to have any in our whole life. That would mean that there's 16 grams in one of those jars. It is, so everyone knows what Crisco is? Lard. So like the really thick, like that's what trans fat is. So it is lard. So in one of those jars, it has about that much peanuts and that much of the lard. That's what gives it that soft consistency. Yeah. So
look for hydrogenated oils, because
How
that's
did
what
our
it is.
grandparents get away with soup?
I have
I
no
know,
idea,
my
I have
grandmother
no
used to
idea.
Is it in that, in the, I can't believe it's
Nope.
not butter?
No,
It's
I
not
wouldn't
in
eat
there?
it, no.
Okay.
This does have soybean oil, it does not have that,
Okay.
no, no.
The only thing I saw because I watched your video about toasting up the pita chips, I do put a little bit of that when I toast the pita chips and then some garlic powder. But that's the only thing I use it for. I used to laugh at my mother. I'm like, it just wets your bread. Like, why would you bother? I'd rather eat dry toast. But
I'm the same way.
but for that, I like it just
Yeah.
because, and then I'm putting them in the oven, and it's just kind of, it almost gives it something for the garlic powder to stick
You
to.
wanna know what's even better? So when I make the pita chips, I just use olive oil spray.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep, so just do that. Because
And
this,
then you just
just
take 'em.
spray them, put them in. Yeah.
And do you
So-
use that lager bread? That you
This,
just-
so when I make my pita chips, yep,
That's
I
what you
use the
use?
pita form of this, yep.
Oh.
So I just took them, I cut them in eighths, and then I toast them. I spray them with the olive oil spray, and then a lot of people pour olive oil on them. I mean, if with the spray you're getting like 6 calories and like a half a gram.
I had to
of meat.
stop putting the olive oil
Oh,
because
I
I'll
have an
do too
olive
much.
oil problem, I
Yeah.
get you.
So the spray
It's
one's
not
good.
What kind of bread is that?
Oh, it's Joseph's Oat Flax Lavash. So they have the lavash and they have the pitas. I make my pizzas on these.
Is it, so is that like sprouted grain or?
No, it's just it's a flax, oat bran, and whole wheat. So the breakdown. So normally like one of these lavash and the pitas too, but it's always this exact one because there can be one right next to it that's exact same. It looks exactly the same. This has 120 calories per the whole thing. That's why when I make a pizza, I use double. It's 240 calories for the whole crust. 1.5, so 3 grams of fat, 16 carbs. The thing to look at is there's 4 grams of fiber, which is awesome. That means it's a whole grain. And then it has 12 grams of protein, which is amazing. So you get the one that's right next to it in the store. So that this is on the end cap at Market Basket. They also have it at Hannaford over with all the other ones. But the one right next to it, I think, is 290 calories. It's something like 40 something grams of carbs, no fiber whatsoever, no real protein, like 3 grams, and 6 or 7 grams of fat. So it makes a huge difference. And they taste amazing. And you can do so much with them.
I don't do a lot of gluten because I feel sick.
I don't,
But I can handle sprouted.
yeah, definitely do the sprouted. Most people, yeah.
I can handle sprouted. but-
Yep, because it's not processed.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's generally more often than not, so unless you have actual celiac,
Yeah.
which is 2% of the population, so the gluten intolerance comes a lot from the processing and the other things that are in it.
Okay.
So not so much, like I have a lot of people come to me like I have a gluten intolerance and I look at their nutrition, they're eating Oreos, they're eating all these other things. Some people are actually like you probably, but your body definitely better processes sprouted grains.
Yeah.
Which
can,
is good.
I can manage the sprouted grain.
Yeah.
But I'm like sick, like my whole body aches. And I
Yeah,
feel
it does
like
bother a
my
lot of people.
Stomach hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm one of those people too, like now lately I've been like, oh, I can have that, I'll be fine, and then I'm obviously miserable the next day.
I would wonder if this would bother you. I have a,
try it.
yeah, I would wonder if it would, and they have the pitas too, so you could just
Yeah.
try a little piece and see how your body reacted to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want you to feel sick or anything, but it's really more natural, so I don't know if it would bother you or not.
I eat stuff all the time by mistake, that makes me feel
Yeah,
sick.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
At least if I know I'm like doing a trial and.
Exactly. Well, and it would be good to know because they are really, really helpful, especially with as busy as you've said and you're trying to figure. Those are so helpful. Like to put a can of tuna in there with some Greek yogurt mixed into it, it's like the easiest little meal.
What did you just say with tuna?
Greek yogurt.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's not.
I know.
It's not. If you put.
Well,
especially
isn't
if
that what you
like
did
this-
when you did the chicken salad lettuce wraps? You must
So
have
when I do
used
the chicken salad,
Greek
I
yogurt.
put in, yeah, it's one of my favorites. So I put in the fat-free plain Greek yogurt, mix a little bit of Dijon mustard in there. I threw in some more oregano, some red wine vinegar. Yeah, that's all that is. So it is, it's really good. It's just a matter of what you're mixing with it. Pink salt, black pepper. So yeah, no, that comes out really, really good. And actually, if you want, if anyone wants to go look up that recipe, I modified it a little bit, but you can go Clean Food Crush. So she has a bunch of those types of recipes. She has a chicken salad recipe right on there, but
What is
you
it?
can Clean Food Crush. I get a lot of my recipes from her, Healthy Fitness Meals, and Chocolate Covered Katie, and I just modify them. a lot of the desserts are on chocolate covered Katie.
On what?
The desserts,
Oh.
chocolate covered Katie, she does a lot of desserts. The Clean Food Crush and Healthy Fitness Meals, I get so many recipes from those two, and I modify them to what I want them to be because I'm always trying to match up the macros. But, I mean,
I think the healthy,
Healthy Fitness Meals.
thank you.
Yeah, the chicken salad recipe, I do add some different things to it, but Clean Food Crush has one, pretty much the same thing on it.
I'm gonna like that one.
That chicken salad is like my saving grace. Sometimes I'll sprinkle some sunflower seeds on it, so good, pumpkin seeds. If anyone likes seeds, pumpkin seeds are the highest in protein. So that's a good little snack to have in your car, especially for you, whereas you're vegetarian. Pumpkin seeds in your car, that's one of the highest protein sources.
Cool.
Pumpkin is one of the best things you can take in, magnesium.
You've got a can of pumpkin, what do you use for that for?
Oh, everything. So one of the reasons I brought this in is because a lot of people use pumpkin for things and they buy the pumpkin pie mix.
Oh,
Big difference between pumpkin pie mix, which has 30 grams of sugar a serving, and just pumpkin, which has none, except for the natural. So just always be really aware of that. Pumpkin, you can use this as a moistener for most everything because it doesn't really have, like if something calls for oil, this is another, so you can use unsweetened applesauce, you can use Greek yogurt, you can use pumpkin.
Okay.
They're all really good things. The carrot juice that I was talking about earlier, that was really good in the gingerbread because that makes it nice and moist. So that was good. I did put these here because I wanted to, so a lot of times, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. So I was talking about 16 grams of protein. Just because something has protein doesn't mean it's healthy. So many people I know are like, well, I have one of those Larry and blah, blah, blah every day. I almost want to write the company. So always look at how much is in a serving. So half of one of these cookies is a serving. And it has 200 and, okay, we'll just go with a whole cookie because we all know that's what we're eating. Okay, so a whole cookie is 420 calories.
Oh my gosh.
12 grams of fat, 16 grams of protein in a whole cookie. So when they say there's 16 grams of protein, that's in 2 servings, so in a whole cookie. And there is 59 carbohydrates and 25 grams of sugar. So
Does
they're
that market as a protein source?
Yeah.
That's what
They actually market this as a protein cookie.
wow, what's the brand?
Lenny and Larry's.
Lenny and
They
Larry's.
used to have these at Planet Fitness,
Really?
like, yeah. So if we're doing a comparison, we're in the store and we're like, well, I need a cookie, and I've had those times where I bought a box and had a couple or
Or all.
And so this one, so one cookie is the serving size. That's 240 calories. There's still 15 grams. So in one cookie, there's 15 grams of protein, but there's 21 grams of carbohydrate and 11 grams of fiber. So if you don't know about that, the fiber comes off the carbohydrate. That's why you look at fiber. So if there's 21 grams of, like this one has 60 grams of carbohydrate, there's only 10 grams of fiber, so let's just knock it down to 50 grams of carbohydrates, and then half of that is sugar.
Crazy.
And if you're aiming, so optimally, you wanna be under 50 grams of sugar a day, ideally 35. So, or ideally, it went the other way around, but you know what I mean. So this is 25 grams in one cookie that's supposed to be healthy. So you always wanna read that kind of stuff and know where it's coming from.
One big game changer for me was changing from half and half in my coffee at home to like the almond milk or the oat milk. I actually like the oat milk better than almond milk.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing some surveys for what to bring in the cafe, and that's what people, I've never used it, but that's what people told me, is to get some of the oat, and just make certain when you're buying it, get unsweetened.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people don't,
Unsweetened.
so just get unsweetened. Another thing that people use in their, and we've talked about this, that they use in like their cereal, their coffee stuff, is some of this. Now you're getting a little boost of protein. So that's really good too.
I still like that, Feel Life. I won't get regular milk now.
I know.
buy the Feel Life.
Isn't it crazy
Yeah.
when you make the switch?
It is so, you know, I
Especially
get the,
for coffee and stuff.
yeah, I get fat-free in it. It's not like fat-free regular milk that you can see through.
Yeah.
You know, my husband, it's like, yeah, don't even get the other.
Yeah.
You know.
Does it last longer before
my-
it spoils?
Well,
In the
it
fridge?
lasts over 2 weeks after you open it.
In the fridge, really?
But if you look at the expiration date, like those, like the ones I'm buying, they're like March of 2022. So if you don't open it, it ain't going
The
bad.
regular
Yeah.
milk
The Feel Life regular milk.
that they put in the refrigerated section?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's
Yes.
really good.
And
So
it
if you
doesn't
don't
need
open it,
refrigeration.
Is it like real milk or it's not?
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
it is,
Yeah.
it's
I I'm still baffled, I wanna go to the
I know, I
company,
wanna-
I wanna do a tour.
it's
I know, I wanna
delicious.
talk
Yeah.
to someone big.
It is
I wanna
hard to
understand.
last that long and no review.
Yeah, I
It's
don't like
powdered,
not
maybe,
knowing
like,
something, so it bothers me.
Well, I keep it in
I
the
don't
fridge,
know, my cousin
Yeah.
lived in England
but once
and they never
it's good until you open it. Yeah.
Does it
See,
say
when
it has
I
to be
grew up with like
refrigerated
cow
before
milk
it's opened?
delivered to my door,
I never
and we
looked
didn't
to see.
have
I
to
don't
do
know that I would
that for
want
a
it
couple
not
days, but I just.
I don't think you
Really?
have to, but I
Really?
don't think you have
Well,
to,
those
but-
are a little different, those are the, those
This
are
is the actual
shakes.
protein shake.
What I'm
But
talking
I
about
can
is
tell
not-
you, a lot of people, I tell them, take your milk, take your fat-free Fairlife, or milk or whatever, and take a vanilla one of these, mix it with that, and now you have protein milk. Put that on your cereal or
Yeah,
something.
that-
where did you guys say you find those? Are they hard to find?
I got
Amazon.
these at Walmart, they have 4 packs at Walmart.
Okay.
Are they
Did they
expensive?
have
I
many?
think they're $2 a piece, which to me is a
Walmart
deal,
or
so I'm like,
Amazon?
good-
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I get them
Amazon.
at Amazon and
Yeah.
they come in
Just
12
saying,
packs,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, see, that's great too, yeah.
I get the other ones.
So
Yeah.
it can take
Yeah,
a
they
few
have
weeks
coffee
to
So I'm
or-
gonna have to.
Yeah,
try
so
it.
just, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
this tastes like legitimately chocolate milk.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, it's like drinking chocolate milk, it makes my heart happy.
It says it's ultra pasteurized,
Okay.
so it says ultra.
I love you right now, by the way.
For us.
Why did I look that
I
up?
was like,
Yeah.
how do they do that? And aseptic packaging allow core power to be shelf stable for 9 months. So it's like ultra pasteurized, meaning they cooked it longer to kill all the bacteria that would normally make it spoil. You can store it at room temperature for up to 6 months as long as it's.
Like a light glossy bottle.
Wow.
so like a-
Right.
Once it's opened, it has the same longevity as regular milk.
Intriguing.
Ultra
Hey, you
pasteurized.
came in and I didn't get to talk to you. Hi, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
I might get so focused on, not, you get to speak now.
Oh, I'm Kelly.
Oh.
I joined here about a month ago, just over a month ago, to learn more about the meal planning and the macros, mostly the macros.
Okay, do you know what macros are?
Yeah, I just
Oh.
started getting into that.
Okay.
I'm watching how they come up on my.
Oh, so you're doing MyFitnessPal,
Yeah.
awesome, okay, good,
Very
good.
eye-opening, yes, it's very interesting.
Yes, yeah, it's a lot to take in. Okay, good.
Sorry, my butt. I
All
was
right.
taking a picture of your table, sorry.
That's okay.
I want your
Don't come too
socks.
close, something.
No, I think you
I think you know that.
Where do you get the edamame,
Edamame, it's okay, people say it in so many weird ways, you're all
I
good.
used to say quinoa.
People still, I still sometimes don't say it right. This I get at, and I get it, it's a different brand now, but at, Market Basket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's amazing to me what
Katie
they have.
told me, that you can get like huge bags of frozen edamame at Walmart.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and
But
they're
that's
like-
pasta.
Like edamame or pasta?
Edamame.
Okay,
yeah, that's
this is
pasta.
pasta.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is edamame pasta. So the reason this stuff is awesome, I use this in a lot of my recipes. So like when I do, so if I want something like a pasta salad, I'm like, okay, well people want to see the little noodles. So it's just a visual thing. People want the noodles. So I do half of the chickpea because the chickpea are.
Hi, Kim.
Okay, so I do half of the chickpea because chickpea pasta is definitely better. Anything made from beans or anything like that, that's gonna be
Lentil?
better. Yep, fantastic. I actually have some up here. So what I will say about the chickpea and the lentil pastas, they have more carbohydrates, less fiber, not as much protein. It's still better than regular.
Right, okay.
This, so black bean and edamame have 25 grams of protein and it has 20 grams of carbohydrates and 13 grams of fiber. So it actually has 7 impact
Yeah.
carbohydrates. Impact are the ones that affect your body.
Okay.
So when it has that much fiber, it's like, okay, this is a really good protein source. So I'll do in any meal I'm making for my family or anything, it's half of the chickpea and half of this.
I noticed that. What was, did you, the
pasta
the
salad?
caprese, yeah,
Yeah.
that had both in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the buffalo mac?
Same thing.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I know, I just want to out of the freezer, I'm like, I gotta have more.
That and those type of things. So when you're making, so here's a great so when you're making shepherd's pie, when you're making any type of mashed potatoes. So first off, sweet potatoes are great. When I boil the sweet potatoes, I boil cauliflower with it.
Okay.
That way you're boiling everything together, you mash it all together, you've just taken half the calories out of there, half
Yep.
the carbohydrates, added more fiber.
Yep, okay,
And you can't even taste it.
okay.
So same with like the mac and cheese. If you're making mac and cheese, I'll give you 3 or 4 pointers on mac and cheese. So do half the pasta, like the edamame and chickpea, and then use cauliflower florets. It gives it more texture, and you can't really taste the difference. It's just there. Now you're getting some vegetables in there. For the sauce, so Chocolate Covered Katie has a good look up mac and cheese on Chocolate Covered Katie. I definitely modified it for my recipes. I'm happy to share it. But so basically, when they call for cream, you're going to use unsweetened almond milk. For cheese, I do throw in some fat-free mozzarella. I do some of that. Nutritional yeast is the game changer.
Yeah.
This is the game changer. So nutritional yeast. So a lot of vegetarians use this. It's a good source of protein. A quarter cup has 60 calories, 5 grams of carbs, but 3 grams of fiber, so really 2, and it has 8 grams of protein. It's like a cheese substitute. I sprinkle this on my salad at night. It's a little boost of protein, and it's delicious.
I do too. I'll put it on my egg whites.
Oh my God,
yeah.
it's so good.
Is that what?
It's got like that.
This is
Nutritional.
It's a cheese substitute?
It's a cheese
Yeah,
substitute.
it's like
Wow.
that.
It's delicious.
It's that like
It's so
umami
good.
flavor, that
But if
like
you put it in
unexplained
anything like
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
it just like amps up like the
Yeah,
fullness and the
to
flavor.
me it tastes like cheddar
It's
flakes,
nutritional yeast, Bob's Red Mill.
and I put it on everything.
You're welcome.
It's so
Um,
good.
Well,
yeah.
then, what is that, okay, so I've seen that, but then what are the amino acids too? What is
Yeah.
that look
Okay,
like? What does
so
that
if
taste
you
like?
want a substitute for it, it's soy sauce.
Yeah.
But it
Okay.
has half the amount of sodium and it has protein in it. It's
Ah.
a natural, so I use this, my daughter uses this. But any type of sauces, if you're making like a Thai peanuts, anything with soy sauce, this is a substitute. You will never in a million years know the difference.
No.
What's it called, liquid amino?
It's Bragg's liquid aminos.
And coconut aminos is.
Coconut aminos are very good too, just know that they have more sugar.
Yeah, cause it's sweeter.
Yeah, they have more sugar in them, that's all. So if something calls for coconut aminos, well, for one, I almost always just use this. But if I want that sweetness, I'll use half and half. That way it takes out like 6 or 7 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
And you're still getting that little boost, or I'll just put in a little bit of, I'll use this and put in a little squirt of soda.
So you could use that for chicken and stuff?
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter would
Like
be,
soy
when she
sauce.
orders sushi, she uses this instead. Yep, you can use it for everything. I would just toss out the soy sauce because it's just
Yeah.
not good. But yeah, this is fantastic.
Interesting. I've seen that,
Pocketbook
I've never
is
known
gonna
it was
be
used.
full.
I need that when I go out to eat.
Thank you so much.
This is really good.
If you have any questions, just let me know, okay?
No, I definitely will, and as I'm looking at the table though, I'm realizing some of the things I've already implemented over time. So it's not as bad as you think it is in your head.
It isn't.
Oh.
You just gotta get out of
It
your
isn't
own
it that, you just gave me Christmas. I love it because it is. We don't give ourselves credit for how far we have come because we're so worried about where we're going.
Right, and that's where I'm looking at some of the stuff, I'm like, oh, I use the olive oil cooking spray. Oh, we always have the pita bread.
Yeah.
So just like, but learning like amino acid nutritional yeast will be added to my vault now,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
thank you.
You can
I
get a
appreciate
big
it.
bag of nutritional yeast at Dover Natural for like $3.
Wow.
Really? They're
Yeah.
usually so expensive that I don't go there.
No, the loose spices are so much cheaper. They just come in like
I
a little
will
bag.
totally be going there.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
You know how much of that stuff I go through? It's
And it's
insane.
expensive.
Yeah,
in-
it's
in, like, the
$7
store.
for that little thing.
Yeah, Dover Natural.
Oh, I didn't know for that.
Thank you, have a good day.
No, it's not the
You
same.
too, thank you,
So
Megan.
Dover Natural has like loose spices that you can like buy.
I
in the bag.
personally, so my most favorite thing in the world,
I think
especially
they're
for my
in
pizza, I just have to
packaging and,
find.
like,
It's right in the
oh,
front. I was
feta
gonna
cheese.
say, that was one thing I wanted to
Sorry,
ask you,
feta's
is
good.
it fat free or low fat?
Fat free.
Fat free,
So
feta.
so when I make one of these pizzas, I will I'll spray the pan with the olive oil spray. If someone wants to use a little bit of olive oil, you can. It's safer if I stick to that. I put 2 of these down, and then I will say that fresh sliced tomatoes are better because they're not, unless you use a really light amount of tomato sauce, because you don't want them to get soggy. I will put on some fat-free feta cheese, which is delicious. It has a ton of flavor. No, Lynn's like, screw that
That
crap.
stinky feet cheese. I can't get past the smell to even try it.
Really?
Well, I used to work at D'Angelo's and we used to have to break it up. I feel
Well, I always
so
tell
good.
people
It
if
was
you want,
gross.
if you want regular cheese, just go to skim. Just go to 2%. Like
Yeah.
you're still making a little
Yeah.
change. We don't have to do like everything and be perfect at it. How can I make a little change? That's it.
I wonder if I use the goat feta, cause sometimes dairy bothers me.
So dairy bothers me now. This does not
That
bother
doesn't?
me. No,
Okay.
this does
So
not
they
bother
make
me.
goat feta?
Yeah.
I never had goat feta.
I've never.
But that's
seen-
probably high
Higher
fat.
calories and.
Definitely higher calories and fat, but it is good. Goat cheese is one of the better ones.
Yeah,
It
then
has
I'm
more
sure
Me
it's
too.
high in fat, but that doesn't bother you, so.
This does not bother me, and I used to eat dairy all the time. Now I can only take it in doses.
Okay.
But yeah, this one does not bother me. So, so I'll give you two. So you can keep a pizza. Oh, actually, this will bring up my favorite thing. You can keep it really basic and do like a lot of times. Has everyone seen the thin and trim chicken sausage?
Oh, yeah, geez, you
What
told
is
me
it?
about that. It is
Thin and
excellent.
trim chicken sausage. I only can find it at Market Basket. Everyone else just has. I know.
It is
No, but
a-
I buy so much. They always have plenty.
Oh, good, thank
Yeah,
you.
like yeah.
I just got two of them.
I
They're
have to
Oh
get
my
a picture
goodness.
of it.
thin and trim, yeah.
It is
And,
so
and they're
good.
thinner. The
They're,
sausages
they're
are
thinner, so these
I
things,
love them.
so we were talking about like easy food.
Yeah.
This is one of my go-tos. I
Yeah.
usually throw these in a baggie, take them in my car if I'm gonna be
Okay.
gone for the day. Cause two of these has 140 calories, 22 grams of protein and 5 grams of fat.
Oh, they're so
And
good.
they're delicious.
Mhm.
So when I'm making a pizza, I'll saute these up. Personally, I like mushrooms, so I'll do mushrooms, but with whatever you want for veggies, put them on top of the pizza with some fat-free feta, maybe some baby spinach, and cook it, good to go.
Okay.
If you want something really good, and if you like arugula, do it with arugula.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do the same type of thing, or arugula, and like even if you want to make it easy, do some rotisserie chicken breast and some strawberries and walnuts. Oh my goodness, that's unbelievable. It's like a special treat. But I use no sauce on that one. I was just thinking that.
You
just
know what
made-
I just tried, and I just wouldn't try it, and wouldn't try it, and wouldn't try it. And somebody's, I don't know if you brought it up the other night, it's putting spinach in my smoothies.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't taste it.
It
Can't
sounded
taste it.
so, oh, it's so
Especially if you do
freaking
frozen
good.
spinach, because
Yep.
frozen spinach makes it nice and thick, so then you get to eat it like you're pretending like you're eating ice cream.
Oh, it is
happiness.
so good.
And it doesn't add a lot of flavor?
No,
No.
No, you can't, no.
Oh,
Because you've been
right.
adding it with
Yeah,
chocolate
cauliflower
protein
does
powder
taste
and,
delicious.
yes. So
Yeah.
it's how you get your greens in
And
and,
it doesn't, I'm just gonna put this out, it doesn't make you gassy. Like,
Oh.
people do the kale thing, and I don't know how they're doing that.
Yeah, that hurts my
Because
stomach.
that's only if I'm home alone. I don't know, how people, I'm like, why are you putting kale in your shake? No,
And then have it go to
it's
work
impressive
and
to me that
stuff.
they
Yeah,
can.
I
all
just
the time.
tried it
Yeah,
this
it's
week.
so impressive to me, like, everyone's bodies just
So good.
function differently, but I always tell people, like, some people can't eat protein, like, can't drink certain proteins
I
because it makes them
alternate
that way.
between kale and spinach and cauliflower, so
Yeah.
each morning that I do one, I put some kind of vegetable in it.
Yeah, it's really good, and if you do the frozen ones, like I said, like, it makes it really thick. I mean, what I like to put in my shakes is the frozen berries, like, I
Yeah.
do the frozen berries.
Yeah.
So that's obviously really good, tons of antioxidants, low sugar, lower than bananas, which is
Yep.
good. Someone was talking about protein bars earlier.
yeah, I'm glad somebody said that, because I wanted to know what other
Okay,
choices.
so I have a few different options here. So I don't have one of the one bars. Okay, so RX bars, fantastic. They taste really good. They're all natural. The baseline is dates, so they do have sugars in them. They have less protein, more carbohydrates, but they're still delicious. They're still good. They're natural. Personally, like, these are something I keep in my car. If I need something, this is going to satisfy me. Like, this will get me through a couple hours. Go ahead.
Satisfy you for like is that something that you should have as a snack or like something that you have before you work out? Like when's a good time to
Good
eat something
question.
like that?
Okay, so we'll talk about workout food for a minute. Pre and post workout is the only time of day I tell people not to take in fat. So the reason being,
said
your
that,
body
didn't you?
needs to be able to absorb your protein and your carbohydrates for energy immediately pre-workout. And post-workout, it needs to be able to absorb it to replenish the sugar, the glycogen in your body from the carbohydrates, and feed your muscles immediately and heal you, help you to recover. If you have fat, so just picture peanut butter. Picture something trying to get through peanut butter and get into your system. It's gonna slow it down. You want fast absorption. So I don't think fats are bad, but the one time a day you want to avoid them is pre and post workout.
Okay.
So that's the only reason. Sometimes I don't necessarily recommend. I recommend a protein shake and an apple. Protein shake and apple, ideal post workout something, or even pre workout for that matter. Something like this, it's good, it's healthy, but because it has almonds, it has more fat in it. And pretty much all of the protein bars are like that. I consider this like a protein bar because it's beef jerky. The chicken and the venison are they have the highest protein and the lowest fat in these, and that's what you want to look
Those
at.
are
What's the
epic?
one
What
you?
is, what kind is
Those are
that?
epic?
These are epic.
Those are so
Yeah.
good.
They are really, really good. They're a little bit more expensive.
Where do you
someone-
find them?
I get these at Market Basket, Hannaford has them as well, you can also order them on Amazon.
What'd you say, chicken and?
The chicken and the venison are the highest protein, the lowest fat. The other one, like I got the beef, I'm not really a big fan of beef anyway, but it had higher fat, I could actually taste it, so I don't like that. And it less, what's the one that you eat, Melissa? You eat a good one.
I forget what it's called.
Is it Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a teriyaki, but it doesn't have a lot of sugar in
And
it.
it's like high up on the shelf, which I'm glad, cause I can only reach it.
Yeah. That's why I can't find it.
It's called Jack's, it's, I get it Jack apostrophe
yeah.
S, but I do the venison and I do the turkey, and I'm not a big fan of beef either.
Yeah, I don't really.
But if it's there and the others
It
aren't.
has good protein though, I think it's like 14 grams of protein
At
and like 2
least.
grams of sugar, but it's teriyaki, which is really good. So anything teriyaki, you always wanna look at the sugar, because that it usually
Like at
has.
Walmart, yeah.
But these are really good, so this would be okay, pre or post workout, well, obviously you're not gonna eat that though.
I've had those before though.
Yeah,
They're really good.
They
It's
are.
a cool way to get like meat without having to incorporate it into like
exactly.
our home.
Yeah.
'cause I
Right,
just eat it
exactly.
in the car.
Yeah.
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 They won't know.
They won't know.
And then, so I will say that Chrissy, if anyone knows Chrissy Dawn that goes here, she actually brought this in for me because I was talking to her the other day and she goes, did you find this? I think it's where did she find, it's a plant protein bar, which you can never find that actually tastes good.
Mhm.
And sometimes they taste like foot, but this one doesn't, from what she tells me.
She tells
so,
you.
From what, I haven't tried it yet. But she's usually pretty good with that kind of stuff. So it's also it's dairy-free, gluten-free, low sugar, high protein, soy-free, non-GMO, and vegan. It's like all good things. And so it actually does have 21 grams of protein. Usually they don't.
It's called
And
no-cow?
so it's called no cow, and it doesn't have all the fat that some of the other ones do. So it has 8 grams of fat, 210 calories, 23 carbohydrates, and 15 grams of fiber. So, and I think it's sweetened with stevia. Yep, erythritol and stevia and monk fruit. So I have not tried this yet. I should try it right now. I should get it.
Yes, you should, right now.
Okay,
Try
because before I spread this
Give
around.
us a rundown of it.
Foot?
Mm,
I'll take that off my list.
Yeah.
it's okay, it's definitely a vegetarian bar. So, yeah, it's okay. So it's okay, but it definitely, okay, so I will say I could probably get used to it. She brought me a birthday cake one too, that's probably better. So, what I will say about this now, having tried it, definitely good for you. It's not as good as I would want it to taste.
Yep.
But maybe that one's better and I'll let you know.
Where can you get those?
She gets these, I believe, at Hannaford and Shaw's. So
And
yeah,
these-
you know what, it doesn't have a bad aftertaste, actually, it's not horrible.
The nice thing about like Market Basket and Hannaford and Shaw's, they seem to have been going to different sections now of
Yeah.
having these kind of things,
Yeah.
which makes it easier, cause I was
Find it.
searching everywhere.
Yeah, it is, it's crazy.
Especially for like the lavish
Mhm.
bread, I'm like, where is it?
Yeah,
And it's either by the deli or an end
Yes.
cap or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, it is, and they seem, well, now they're so funny because when they're running out of things, like the other day I was looking for black beans and there was cat food, I'm like, what the hell's going on? They're just trying to fill the shelves with anything. I'm like, why is there cat food in the black beans? Like, I was so confused.
Flax is, a fat.
Ground flaxseed is a little bit of everything, so
So-
anyone who knows me knows my love for this.
I love it too, but if it's a fat, I can't have it in my morning, protein if I'm coming to work out.
Oh, it's not an abundance of fat. So let's say, if you're eating a Quest bar, which I don't think are bad, these are 190 calories, 7 grams of fat. So these are pretty, but it's a little bit more in a denser fat. So that's what that is. Ground flaxseed is
okay.
4.5 grams of fat. Yeah, so it's not a lot. I just, like some people, they're eating peanut butter and rice cake because they're like, I want energy from the peanut butter. It's not the optimal time to eat it.
Yeah.
That's what that would be. So you just don't want an abundance. I would say over 10 grams of fat. That's kind of what you want to look at. So flaxseed, totally fine.
Oh, good.
Because, and here's what the thing about flaxseed. So flaxseed has, this is everything, which is why it's so good. 4.5 grams of fat, 3 grams of protein, and 4 grams of carbohydrates. It's pretty much the perfect food. So,
great.
yeah, it is. Ground flaxseed, so if anyone isn't eating this, please, please start eating it. It's only, put it in your shake, put it in water at night, put it on a salad, put it in chicken salad. I put this in so many of my recipes, you guys don't know about it. I love sneaking it in, it makes me happy. Sorry, I'm like choking on that bar. It's not that bad.
I don't believe you.
But I don't wanna choke on it. But what this does is when it's in water, and have you used it?
No.
Oh, really? So a lot of vegetarians use this as an egg replacement. Because when you put it in water, it actually thickens up almost like a gel, so when you ingest it, it goes down through your intestinal lining and only get ground. You wanna get ground or milled, you don't want the whole seed, they'll go right through you. It goes in your intestinal lining, it's like a scrub brush and it pulls toxins out of your body.
That's good to know.
One of the best, this is in the top 5 things I would recommend for anybody.
So
This, vitamin D3 is one of the others.
throw it in water and drink it.
You can put it, when people are constipated, like the last class I had like this, there was a woman that was eating Quest bar. Who else was here? I like mentioned something about it. I'm like, don't eat more than 1 Quest bar a day. She's like, that's what's happening to me. There's a lot of fiber in them and your body can only process so much. It's a different type of fiber. You will be constipated.
Yeah, I was at the class and I had 3 1 bars.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize how much fiber was in there.
Yes.
And
She
that
was sitting here,
constipates
really bad because your body doesn't
Oh,
process.
oh.
Your body likes fiber, but when it's the type of fiber that's in those bars is different than getting a fiber from a vegetable.
Well, and you would need like 4 gallons of water to be able
Exactly.
to make that flush
that
For
through.
me,
Yes.
if I can't have one like 2 days in a row, like because my body's just like that. But so she had to go home. I was like, I want you to go home for the next 3 days and drink. She was messaging
She's like,
me
that's
every
gonna be my
night.
best friend.
Yeah.
You need some smooth move tea.
Smooth move tea, yeah. Smooth move tea.
Smooth
And
move.
Really? Yeah, it's senna. So senna helps your body extract. So, but she went home and had 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed in warm water for 3 nights.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
I mean, I know if you put it like when I do it in my smoothies, cause sometimes I tend to get constipated too, and it's really effective.
It's one of the best things.
You said something else. You said this is one of the there's like one of my 5 things that I would say you have to have. You said the flaxseed meal, and then you said something else. What are your 5 things?
Oh, D3 is what I said.
What'd you say?
Vitamin D3.
Oh, D3. Yeah,
in
yeah, okay.
gel form.
Okay.
They sell it in pill form. It doesn't exist that way, so it makes no logical sense. It's in gel form, so that's how it has to come. It's a fat-based vitamin.
Okay.
So that's how you want to get it. You can get it right at Walmart. Women, so 2 pieces of information about that. So you get D3 from the sun. In the winter, New England is the most deficient in the world, in the whole world. So we don't get enough of it. So women in the summer, you can take 5,000 to 10,000 IUs a day. I personally go on and order the Now brand. That's one of the best bioavailable brands. I order it on Amazon, but I order the 10,000 IUs. That's what it says on it, 10,000 IUs. That's what I take in the summer. In the winter, I take 5 of them.
Oh,
You can take
in
up to
one day?
50,000
Wow.
IUs. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, in the winter because you're not getting any. We're getting nothing from the sun.
Yeah, my blood work.
So you
is
can
back
do that
up.
for about 3 months. And so if anyone's anemic, that's one of the best things you can do because that helps you to absorb calcium and iron better. So,
Do you take
and
all
I'm
at
anemic.
once, or
Huh?
do you take all 5 at once?
Yeah, they're just little tiny pills.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I've changed a couple of things, not a lot, but like my bananas, I've changed from regular to organic. I find that they, number 1, last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But also make me feel a little bit better because I do put them in my shakes.
Yeah.
So what else do you recommend for
Organic.
organic?
Anything, so there's like, you can look up the list, it's called like the Dirty Dozen. So when you're thinking organic, it's interesting that the bananas are so significant because normally what is the most significant is anything that's actually touching the earth. So something like an apple, strawberries, any type of berries, like things like that, you definitely wanna be aware of because that's touching the earth. And mind you, I'm gonna preface this with the fact that I'm not like this big, huge organic person, but I will tell you that I feel different when I eat something like field greens or lettuce that's organic. My body processes it better because that's like directly in contact with the earth. Something like an orange, I don't worry so much. Something like grapefruit, like things with skin, like a thick skin, that's why it's interesting about the bananas. But I will say that you do notice a difference.
Now, what makes them different? What makes them organic? I mean, I've never.
What makes them organic is not putting pesticides into the ground with them. So
Oh,
basically,
okay.
so basically you're not being poisoned, essentially, is what it is.
Okay.
Because you're not taking in that chemical. that
Cause I'm just
seeps
sitting,
into
I'm
it.
like, they're still growing, what the hell
Yep,
is the
so that's the
difference?
difference, so that's
Okay.
why, one, like if it's touching the ground, like strawberries are touching. So that the dirt and the chemicals in direct contact, whereas an orange, not as much gets into it because it has a protective cover.
But if you buy your stuff from local farms,
Mhm.
ask them, because getting certified to sell your stuff as organic is really expensive.
Yep.
And so even though they're not using crap, they often can't advertise themselves
Right.
as organic.
As
Yeah, and there's
organic,
a
but
lot
they
of
might
farms that
be,
don't.
they just
Right,
can't,
so I have
I've
a
heard
farm
that too.
share with,
Interesting.
Heron Pond Farm down in,
The second person
in
I talked to
Hampton.
this week about that, I
Yeah,
should contact them.
they deliver up in Dover, so.
Yeah, there's two people that come here that buy my food and I was there and they were delivering to them. Hmm.
What farm
Yeah.
is it?
Heron.
Heron Pond, yeah.
Heron Pond?
Heron, right?
Yeah.
Heron Pond.
Like
And they're organic, but they can't advertise as it, right?
Yeah, I think they're not, like, I forget what they said now, that they use some fertilizers on some of the crops, but
It's
not
challenging
everything.
too, and this is where it's kinda sad, and even for, like I say, I'm not fully organic, I don't buy like grass-fed beef, because I can buy something for $2.99 a pound or $3.99 a pound, and if I go to Tuttle's or whatever that place is called, I think it's Tender Crop now, it's gonna be $12.99 a pound.
Yeah.
It's really hard,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
very
it's
hard,
very
and so
good.
that's why I do look at like what is worth it, like my field greens, I'm eating salads every day. It's $1 more at Market Basket, so I will spend that extra $1. But I'm not spending it on some other things because I just can't. It's unfortunate, but it's looking at what makes you feel better, like for the bananas, if that makes you feel better, by all means. Yeah, if you know, when you notice a difference, but berries are huge, like I will buy these, cause these are not any more expensive, I don't think, at Market
Yep.
Basket, they're the same price.
Right.
So, and they're berries, so
Mhm.
that's an important one.
Hi, Kathy.
Bye, Kathy. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're getting pretty close. Okay, so so I'm always looking at things like chia, there's a couple different things here. Okay, so I wanna definitely touch on. So, cauliflower rice, is everyone eating cauliflower rice? Cause, so even if, so it's an easy way, so at night, even if, so a lot of people are scared of it. For one, I will say,
I don't like cauliflower.
yeah, you're putting
I
it in
don't
your
either.
shake.
That's
But
why
it's actually
I can't
not
taste it in
bad.
my shake.
Okay, that's so funny.
Add
So,
liquid amino with it.
exactly. If
Okay.
you just put on some of that, or if you put on some of the G-Hughes teriyaki, it is so, it basically, cauliflower doesn't taste a lot as long as you're adding stuff to it. It basically
It's-
tastes on the taste of whatever it is you're doing.
Right, exactly, it absorbs the flavor of whatever you,
Yep, and I will say, so I have a couple people, they're like, well, it's too soggy. True story about the frozen stuff. It is a little bit of time, but if you wanna grind up your own, you can. And I also will say that both Market Basket and Hannaford sell it in the produce section, already ground up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
right.
so that's a really, really easy way to do it, but and also, like I said earlier, mix it with your potatoes, if you want regular potatoes, mash them all together, you're never gonna know.
Yep.
Put in some Mrs. Dash,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, really good. What else did I just have here in my hand that I put down?
You had
Oh,
craisins
these.
and beans.
Okay, anytime something calls for a recipe and chicken salad people with craisins or dried cranberries, so they do have them at Trader Joe's where there's no sugar added.
Mhm.
But I will, so that's the only place I can find them, just so everyone knows. If you're making anything that's asking for dried fruit, go to Trader Joe's. It's the least expensive and they actually have it. But always look, so these right here, so this should have, for a serving, it's still gonna be a sugar, probably 15 grams of sugar and it has 33 because all that's in here is cranberries and sugar. So you wanna be really cautious of that. A good trade-off, use fresh grapes. Because dried fruit, your body doesn't process as much, and it also, the way that your body processes it creates different toxins. So because it's a dried fruit, I don't know, it creates like more gases in your body. So it's just better to eat whole. If you're going for chips, Bonitos, if you either make your own pitas at home, but these right here I bring to parties all the time. I'll usually make my own pita chips, and then I'll have these. Because they come from black beans or white beans, or so anything bean based is going to be much better. And they also have like 5 ingredients. And the very first ingredient is whole grape northern beans.
Okay.
So you're getting more fiber in this. There's 4 grams of fiber in a serving of these, and there's some protein as well because it's made with beans.
They're good, we use those for nachos and
Yeah,
stuff.
they're wicked good. Yeah, they're really, really good.
And the homemade pitas, you said you use Joseph's?
Yeah, I use the Joseph's oat flax. Yep, cause one of the little pitas has 60 calories.
Yeah.
So you're cutting that, like when I sell them here, I give like 8 little chips. That's a little bit over, it's 1 chip more than a whole pita. And so it's like 65 calories and you're getting a whole serving of chips. It's kind of crazy. And they're easy. You spray them with olive oil and sprinkle garlic Mrs. Dash on them. Super easy. Sometimes I want sweet ones, I'll sprinkle cinnamon and stevia on
I've
them.
done that too, yeah.
Yeah. Protein sources, I mean, there are so many. Someone just brought these in for me today, one of my Evolve clients, the little protein puff she gets online. And she also
Is
gets.
there a brand name on those?
It's called Shrewd Food. She said they're fantastic, and she brought croutons. They have croutons as well, so she's putting these on her salad at night.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, same company, Shrewd Food. But she's like, Naomi, I get like 4 servings out of this. So you're getting a little bonus of protein. And is it 1 container that's a serving? Oh yeah, 1 container, there's 70 calories. But yeah, so little, and this is something too, you can carry this in your car, this is just like a little bag of Crushed Chips. Like now you have a little boost of protein. Yep. Egg whites, we all know about egg whites. Tuna, TVP protein, you must use TVP. Do you use my TVP bag is broken.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No?
I'm
What's
a
it called?
terrible vegetarian. Like, I eat stuff that's like in a package.
Okay, so TVP protein, so when
I'm not the example.
I love you right now. This is awesome. That's okay because I'm not huge into vegetarian, so I only know through doing these a lot of what people, and through clients, a lot of what people take in because I'm not into it either.
Yeah.
So it's good because now you're just gonna be a better vegetarian.
Yes.
So the TVP protein is a great, so a lot of people will sprinkle this on their yogurts and things like that. You can sprinkle it on salads and just a little bit of crunch. And it has 13 grams of protein per quarter cup. You can also use it for vegetarian burgers.
Where do you find it in the grocery store?
In the Bob's Red Mill section. It is hard to find.
On the
Sometimes
bottom
I'll order
shelf.
it right online.
It's on the bottom shelf.
Oh, is that where they moved it to? Those
I couldn't find it for the life of me.
Ocean State job lots.
They
I was
do.
gonna say, they
Ocean
have
State.
that.
Find
I
all
should
my
go
stuff
buy
on
them.
Amazon.
Yeah.
As we're talking about it, I'm like, okay.
What
Oh, is
is-
that what you're doing? Yeah. Click.
Proceed to
It's
checkout.
TVP is a textured vegetable protein. So basically, like for me, like when I make vegetable burgers for, so here's a little trick for anyone gonna make vegetarian burgers. I can send it out to you, but I take 2 recipes. So a black bean recipe has too many carbohydrates, not enough protein. TVP doesn't have enough flavor. So I take a black bean recipe and a TVP recipe and I put them together. So now I have the texture that I want and I have the flavor that I want and I also have enough protein. So this, it has a ton of protein in it, but you can use it, I mean, a lot of people I tell them, okay, you want boosted protein, sprinkle it on your yogurt. But if you wanna make something with it, it's great for recipes. So, and if you just punch in TVP recipes, you're gonna get a million of them.
Oh, that's.
Yogurts are always gonna be fantastic, so they have this one now, which a lot of people have been eating, it's Ratio, and that's 25 grams of protein. Oikos, it's my old tried and true. So Oikos is fantastic, it has this one has 20 grams of protein, 8 carbs, but they have one, the 000 that's just black, that's 14 protein, 14 carbs, 0 fat. So now it's a perfect little meal.
Is it okay to do like cashew yogurts or almond yogurt?
It is, the only thing you wanna look at is where's your protein. So if you're doing something like that, you can add a scoop of protein powder to it, you can have a chicken sausage with it. You know what I mean? Like you always wanna look at, so when you're doing something, so basically like the best rule of thumb anytime you're eating, where's my protein coming from? That's like the best rule of thumb, like, okay, so I'm looking at this, it has 6 grams of fat, 6 grams of fat, it has 10 grams of carbohydrates, and it has 1 gram of protein. That means I have to take something and find a protein and add it to this meal. And it doesn't have to be a ton, but aim for 20 grams a meal.
Yeah.
So.
I usually do add something.
Yeah.
Like I usually put it in my smoothie sometimes when I.
Yep, yeah, so anytime just adding in a protein, just making certain you're getting that as well.
What was the sausage you had earlier?
The thin and trim?
Is that what it was?
Yes, thin and trim chicken sausage. I can only find it at Market Basket. It's above the alfresco. I do wanna talk about dressing. So if anyone likes blue cheese dressing, so yeah, the Boathouse dressing, this is in the produce aisle. They have a few different ones. It's yogurt based. I know we're running late, guys, sorry. But it only has 35 calories and 2.5 grams of fat compared to 220 calories and I think something like 19 grams of fat. And it's delicious. It's very, very, very good. But they have a few different ones. Skinny Girl dressing is the other one that is, this is the one I always had to. Yeah, Skinny Girl has 10 calories, no added sugars, it's fantastic. The poppy seed is unbelievable. Okay, so I wanna hear if anyone has any questions, because I know we're getting close to time.
What's the deal with eggs?
What's the what?
What's the deal with eggs? Like, are they bad? Are they good? Are they?
I don't consider anything bad or good, it's where it fits into your nutrition.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone's doing eggs every day, if they really like personally, I've just done egg whites for years and years and years. And I do a cup of them, because then I'm getting 20 grams of protein, 120 calories, like, I'm getting what I want, and I like egg whites. But if somebody wants the yolk in there, I just say, okay, so do 1 whole egg and add in half a cup of egg whites.
So you always have to have more whites than yolk.
Well,
if you want
yeah,
more protein.
yeah, that's usually, yeah, that's how you add in more protein. If you wanna count it as, so the thing with whole eggs is, so even for 2 eggs, so it's 140 calories, you're getting 14 grams of protein. So now you have to find a way to get more protein in. Whereas if you do 1 egg, you're getting 7 grams of protein, do half a cup of egg whites, now you have almost 20 grams.
Okay.
You add some PP2 in there, put it on an Ezekiel thing, now you have carbohydrates, a little bit of fat, and protein.
Add PB2 into the eggs.
So I do that, but some people might not want to. I do though. But I usually will take one of the lavash or the pitas,
Yeah.
I'll toast it. I do my egg white scramble, and then I will put my I'll make the protein PB2, put it on the lavash, and then I put it on top and eat it that way.
And it's okay to get like the container of egg whites?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the little, what you just pour it out?
Yeah, it's like my go-to, it's like my saving grace.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, so egg beaters, a lot of people eat egg beaters. It's not that they're horrible, they're 98% egg whites, there's a lot more sodium in them. They're adding in coloring and sodium, so that's kinda, it's funny when people say they like them more, cause it's the exact same thing. It's a perception.
Is that an egg substitute egg beaters? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep, it's in the same container, it just has coloring. It's so interesting, yeah. Yeah,
I've tried the Just Egg and I didn't really like it.
I have not
That's like a
tried.
vegan egg substitute that you just
Oh.
pour out, but it's like
Okay.
all soy. And it's
Oh,
weird.
yeah, no, yeah. And any soy on that note, that is definitely something you wanna do GMO and organic. Because soy is not, it's all GMO. So that's definitely something to be careful of. Even with your edamame, make certain it's organic and non-GMO.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any specific questions? Oh, I wanted everyone to write down their 3 things. I like that your piece of paper over there is nice and full.
It is.
Full.
Sure
Can't
is.
fit anymore.
I know, this is so good though.
Oh, that makes me happy. Okay. If anyone thinks of questions too, you can also send them to me. I'm totally fine with that. Because I wanna make certain that you get what you need.
Like, I like that you put even like maple syrup in there, and you mentioned about the peanut butter
Mm-hmm.
bars with it, because I love maple syrup, and I'm so like the sweet one, but I'm gonna try that.
The sugar, this one's really good. So, they have this at Walmart. Usually at Market Basket, they have one that's, called Vermont Made. But lately, you can only get it so often, I think because I told too many people. But, I'm telling you, it happens all the time. But because things have been running out so much, but the Vermont, and that one's on the top shelf too, so I'll be right there for you.
Perfect.
I know, I usually kind of push some back, pull the other stuff forward.
I'm the kind of person that will climb up to.
Oh, I do, I'm always
Yeah.
climbing
So
up
I'm
on
like,
the
can I help you, miss? No, I'm okay.
I'm always climbing up. If the egg whites are always pushed way back, I'm climbing up in the freezer. And if anyone needs I think everyone took pictures, but if you didn't.
I need a.
And just because, like I said, I think a yogurt went bad in here, so I'm sorry if it smells funny. I didn't find out till this morning.
Would you mind sending me a picture, cause I.
Yes, let me find I could also just take one big picture, but it's probably easier for you.
Some of this stuff is bad.
So you said, is the PB2 in
Um,
place of the butter?
So PB2 would be in place of a nut butter. They have an almond too, like a don't buy that, that's not good.
Right. So
Um,
it's like in place of like if I was gonna use almond butter.
Mhm, yeah.
Like if I wanted.
And sometimes if you want the flavor of the almond, mix the two.
Okay.
So now you're still getting the flavor of the almond and you're just mixing it with the PB2. So now you're just cutting the calories, getting a little bit more protein, a little bit less fat.
So if I wanted like the almond butter or peanut butter or whatever in my smoothie, would I just like dump that?
Yep, just as powder.
in?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you do it with cocoa, now you have a Reese's peanut butter cup smoothie.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's me, not the table. No, you're fine. So someone just asked me some of this stuff is bad. So basically, come on, man.
Not bad, but.
Not, yeah, not bad.
Some of
So
this stuff.
why isn't this working?
I didn't see nuts up there either, like.
So there are some nuts up here.
Oh, yeah, the almonds.
I
yeah,
didn't
you
get
told
to
me
them,
that.
so I brought these two things because I wanted to say like I love nuts,
Yeah.
but I have to be really aware, so always be mindful of how much you're taking in, but also pick which ones you want. Because I love walnuts, but I do like almonds. These have 220 calories a serving and these have 170. These have more protein and less fat. So I always opt for almonds unless it's like a special thing, because it's good healthy fat, but these calories are gonna add up way faster.
What about cashews?
Cashews are the same, they are the highest carbohydrate now, just so you know. So those, I like those on my salads, but I'm very aware of how many I'm putting on.
Yeah.
You know what you shared too, is that if you do buy whole almonds or walnuts to
Oh, yeah.
blend them, and not blend them, what do they
Yeah,
call?
like do like the Cuisinart, yeah.
Yeah.
Process them.
Process
Yep,
them,
for
and
flour.
You can sprinkle them
Oh.
over stuff so you don't get as much
Yeah.
with the big one.
If you do what, blend them?
Yep, you.
Yeah. I don't know if it's called blending, it's what you do with coffee beans. But
Yeah.
grind them.
Woman, you don't have
Grind
to
them,
do
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Thank you, Naomi.
Yes, thank you, this was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And just sprinkle it. Make it your own.
6 months.
I know. Yep, that's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is, it's just little ways to make it work for us.
Yeah.
Huh? I don't know. I'll find out later.
So,
I always forget that part. Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I know.
Well, thank you very much for doing this.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk to you Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Perfect.
Bye,
Thank
Lynn.
you. We're awake now.
I know.
I just want to say thank you for, like, showing vegetarian stuff.
Oh, absolutely,
And,
yeah.
like, catering to that. 'cause I know
Absolutely.
It's not like the majority,
But
it makes it a little more challenging sometimes.
it does.
So, yeah.
No, absolutely. No, I'm happy to do that. If you have any questions, just let me know. And if you would cook something, let me know because I'll send you those 2 vegetarian recipes. That way you can make those burgers because that's a really good, easy prep item.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
just remind me. So yeah, just send me a message to remind me.
I wanna like eliminate a lot of those like ready-made fake meats out of my diet, cause that's kind of like we buy 4 of those and then we just like make our meals around that.
Right.
And then, so yeah, but also, I've always wanted to study nutrition and I've always like been interested in it being like a career.
Yeah.
So like,
So did
how
your
did you get
thing
certified
fit?
and like where did that start?
So I did go to school for it, but I actually started because of my own, because I lost 65 pounds, so I started because of my own stuff.
Yeah.
But you can go online, like if you go to like the ISSA, it depends on whether you wanna go to a class or do it, like I was originally going for my RD. And I decided that I did not want to at all work in a hospital, I don't believe in like how they present nutrition. So I started doing my own stuff and just helping people on my own, so I kinda created my own career around it.
Yeah.
But you can do like, and I went to UNH in Great Bay, but I never even finished my degree because I had 1 more year and I was like, I don't even wanna do that, so why am I wasting my time?
Yeah.
But I ended up getting, like, you can go right online to ACE or ISSA and they offer nutrition programs. What is that, NASA? No, what is the other one?
So my brother-in-law
Oh, Precision Nutrition.
he worked for Southern New Hampshire University, he's like a guidance counselor, and I like was like, I wanna go to school for nutrition, like, what is your advice? And he's like, oh, that's like not a good field to get into, and blah blah blah. And I was like, seriously, that's something that's so important and I'm
Right.
so passionate about. I wrote a few college essays on like how obesity affects our country and like the lack of like nutrition and the choices that we have. And so it's something that's always been like an interest
Yeah.
of mine.
Yeah.
So I've always thought about going to school for it, but I get like mixed messages from a lot of people, and I know that it's like something like you said where it could be like what you want it to be and not necessarily
I absolutely
like,
created a
making
business.
IDs, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I take people grocery shopping, I go into people's homes and help them clean out their cabinets and teach them to eat, like, because I wanted to teach what I needed to learn.
Exactly.
And I think that what I found many times is if you just give someone like, okay, well, do this, they're not gonna do that because now they have to navigate the grocery store, now they have to learn to read labels. What if I don't like this? How do I replace, like, whereas if I held their hand, like if I said, okay, so this is what you like, how do we make it better? Let's not take it away, let's make it better, let's make it work for you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what people need, because otherwise it literally is killing people.
Yeah.
So.
There's so many outside influences and brainwashing and
Yeah, and it's like alcoholism. People's addiction to food is like alcoholism, but you have to eat. You can't just give it up. So then 5 or 6 times a day, you're faced with having to make a choice that can go one direction or the other.
yeah.
And I just think people feel very alone in it. I think it affects people. I think this is probably the first class I've ever taught where people didn't cry, because it really it affects people on such a fundamental level.
Absolutely.
So
That's
no,
something
it's
I'm passionate about.
yeah.
I lived in Brooklyn for a long time in like an inner city area, and that's when I was really hit with reality to see what those neighborhoods, the choices that they had, and like buying produce in the grocery stores and it being basically rotten, and then like all of the restaurants and things were like this awful food, and I was like, we need more people to advocate for going against like what the corporations are trying to feed us and what these neighborhoods are being offered, and like I feel like it's a humanitarian effort. So I definitely want to like go on that path, but I have no idea like where to
Look
start.
up precision nutrition.
What is it?
Precision nutrition. I might actually have the textbook, and if so, you could definitely borrow. I can't remember if I loaned it to someone. But that is a really well-acclaimed company. And the book, it's at-home study, so if that's something you would do. I'm not very good at that, but I like to be in a classroom, but right now in the times that we're in, it just doesn't really happen that much. But that's a good company. It's not as expensive as actually going to college, and it teaches you in a way that's not geared towards hospital type work. It teaches you in a way so that, like the real way, the way that it should be.
So you can become like a dietitian or something.
Yep, there's other classes too, like little classes, like I personally think that we should all like have some type of life coaching around nutrition, because it's not just about the black and white. So like when I was doing it, I took life coaching classes, and you can go online and find little classes like that. If you just punch in, you're gonna get a bunch of them. And just look for the one, even if you want to, you can send it to me. If I think of it, I'll look some up. You'll probably have to remind me, I'm kinda crazy right now trying to get ready for Monday, but you can just punch them in. But ISSA, all those types of places offer stuff like that. ACE, ISSA.
I have no idea what those are.
Those are where you get like personal training certifications.
Oh, okay.
So those are the ones that are like accredited associations. They're a little bit more expensive, but they've started offering nutrition. But if you're doing like a full-on nutrition thing, precision nutrition's the way to go.
And that's like a certification program?
Yeah.
And you don't need any prior like college or anything?
Nope, you do it, you get a textbook and you study and you have to take a test online. But it's not easy, it's like a real legit one. It's not like one of the, and this is what a protein, like it's like you're gonna learn everything about it.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is
a lot
good.
of math and stuff.
Yeah, there is some math. A really good book, if you wanted to read it too, that gives you some foundational stuff is Tom Venuto, which is Venuto. Yeah, Tom Venuto, and it's Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle. And that's just like a book that you could just read, and that would kind of break down the foundation of things. And I recommend it to everybody. Like, it's the most basic, like straightforward, here's what it is, to kind of change your own life, but also to help other people.
Cool.
I read it all the time.
Cool.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Thank you so much.
You're
This
welcome.
means so much to me.
Oh, good. That makes
And
me so
something I've
happy.
wanted to just like start embarking on,
Oh,
so.
that makes, well, if you have any questions, truly, just reach out to me.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Alright,
Have a
nice
great day.
Finally talking to
I
you.
know, thank you, you too, bye-bye.
Bye.
Couple of checks.
Okay,
Because before I
I
considered them Venmoing you, I was like, Venmo me, I'll write her a check. Like, well, that's stupid. Could've just given her. Like, I'm not smart some days. So yeah, I put the names of who's there. No one gave you money.
Lynn paid me,
Okay, I wanna.
and I
But
think
nobody's Venmoed you.
two people, I think, Venmoed me, so Carol Venmoed me.
Lynn McCarthy, yeah.
I just saw this.
She's all set. She didn't do it. Megan's all set. I should be writing on this, but.
Carol and Robin, that's it. Besides Lynn.
Carol
Standen
right.
and Robin Hutchins.
Okay. I'm gonna text everybody right now, to Lynn McCarthy, right? Also.
Yes.
I'm gonna text everyone
Because I
right
didn't even
now.
know- so you know
and
everyone
send
that was in
their
it, right?
Venmo. Yeah,
Okay.
I checked them all in.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be so sad if I have to throw all this stuff away.
I don't think you'll need to
That
throw,
smell
well,
was driving me freaking.
did you rinse this stuff after?
Yeah, I think that like something, I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna buy.
Oh, like nibbles?
Yes,
something.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think you need to buy it all again, but you might need to empty everything.
Like some of it, I'm.
Clean it, that's all.
Oh, that was driving me crazy the whole time.
I
I was
bet.
like, could you
I
like smell?
couldn't smell it over there.
Thank you. That was what was driving me crazy. Like I was fine dealing with it. I'm like,
I
oh my
almost
god.
brought the candle in, but if you didn't need to,
Okay.
I couldn't smell it.
Well, people are taking
I couldn't
pictures
smell
of
it till I
like.
walked by.
Okay, good.
Right, I'm gonna go tell everyone to Venmo you.
Thank you.
Need help otherwise.
Thank you. That's the first time I've ever taught that and no one cried.
I know.
I think people have gotten a lot of crying out between last week's workshop, meditating last night.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like crying today. And I have cried, like, I did an energy release thing with Amanda Reed, and I cried harder than I've cried.
Good.
Since my dad died, so.
Stuff like that, people way underestimate the power.
Yeah, I'm not really like that, not like, I don't know. You know, look at the light, and, I always
Right.
consider myself a realist, but I'm not.
Meditating is a big thing. I cry almost every time I meditate, and I don't even go into it thinking I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna be working with her.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
She was actually gonna be here today. I think she was
Yeah,
on the list.
something happened.
Okay.
She canceled out. Yeah, it was really cool what she did with me the other night. It's interesting.
That's awesome.
She says she doesn't call herself a medium, but sometimes things come through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it was cool. cool.
Ethan's like that. Did you know Ethan's like that?
No.
Ethan can, I don't tell many people this.
Yeah.
Ethan can see spirits.
Really?
He can see them and feel them. He's had to push them out of our house before. And I never knew if I
Interesting.
fully believed him. So it's funny because, so we used to go running when we lived in South Berwick. And this is after I knew. But we used to go running when we lived in South Berwick. And where you run down by like past Fogarty's and through like where the mills are. And
Like
we're
where
like,
your restaurant is, you mean?
Yeah. so like 5 or 6 times, like the first few times, he kind of like cut me off and pushed. I'm like, what are you doing? And we're sitting there talking one day. He goes, do you want to know why I do that? He goes, Naomi, so I've always drawn in, and he's the one that told me this, but I always knew. I draw in energy that needs me. So he's like, you realize that you draw in spirits that need you. They need to be saved, and they're drawn to you. So Taylor, when Taylor was a baby, we could hear talking upstairs. We didn't know why. And this is her father and I, who didn't even think anything of this kind of stuff. They're talking upstairs, and every time I would go up, I'm like, Mike, I freaking get to the top of the stairs, and I like feel like cold and weird. And so a friend of mine, I'm like talking to her about, I'm like, it's so freaking weird. And Taylor's like a baby, and she's like talking to someone, like she was looking at someone. And I had my friend come over, her name's Linda Meyer, and she's a media. She like does all that stuff, all Reiki and everything. She's a huge energy person. And she came over, she's like, just let me be around her. So she said very early on in Taylor's life that Taylor has like basically guardian angels all around her. She's like, that child is like, she goes, but when she's a teenager, she's gonna start wondering what the hell's going on. She said, for right now, she's fine. And never told Ethan anything about this. And one day I went into the bank, Taylor was waiting in the car with him, and came out, and I was like, Taylor, he goes, I asked her if she wanted to go inside, but she said so this is Taylor, who's not like this. She goes, no, she goes, I just want to, for some reason, I feel really calm with you. So he and I were talking about it, and he said, well, you realize that Taylor's like surrounded by like spirit, like everywhere around her. They are drawn to that kid. He said, but
that's why she struggles.
He goes, but they're there to protect her. And I'd never told him, and I was like, that's interesting. But when he was a kid, like his grandmother was the same way. And he realized it one day. He was riding his bike through the woods with his friends, and they were riding through a pet cemetery. And he said all of a sudden he's on his bike, he's like 7 or 8, and he goes, he just felt every one of them come rushing at him and like inside of him. He goes, I took in all of their energy. And like he does it, like he can touch a rock, and he takes in like the energy of whatever, like if there was ever a death around it, he knows. But he goes, I like dropped my bike and like ran home, told my grandmother, his grandmother took him back and took him in and showed him. But like if we're driving out in Colorado, he feels it everywhere because of all of the old like all the people that died. But there was spirits. Our old house was like haunted, like bad. And he knew the day we went to look at it. He goes, but it's all in the basement. Something happened in that basement. I felt it one night when he wasn't there. He had to come home and actually go upstairs and push it out of the house. But he can feel it and see it that clearly. Just like me, he can feel me. He will call me from work, and he's like, and something's going on with, he's like, what's going on with you right now? I'm like, what do you mean? And we actually never talked, because I was like, you need to stop doing that, because it's not fair that you can feel me like that. But he can't, he's that connected. When he's connected to something, he can
Ellis
feel
is
it.
like that with me. But I don't know if he knows that he probably is with others. He says that he thinks he is. Once we talked about it here. He wants to connect with her too. Actually, this is probably still recording.
Lovely.